Chaos erupts in a five-star hotel when a single mom's little girl sprints toward a powerful CEO guest, wrapping her arms around him and calling him father in front of everyone. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. The lobby of the Grand Watermark Hotel shimmered under the glow of crystal chandeliers. Polished marble floors reflected the elegant silhouettes of guests hurrying about, each carrying stories of business success or exotic travel. Amanda pressed her back against the gold-trimmed wall, heart pounding as she held her 3-year-old daughter Bella in her arms. She was just a housekeeper, nobody important by the standards of this luxury world, and yet for Bella, Amanda was everything. The day had started before sunrise. Amanda normally arranged daycare for Bella whenever she worked, but her sitter was unavailable this week. An unexpected emergency. After exhausting all other options, she'd made a decision that could cost her job, bringing Bella to the hotel. It was risky, but with no one else to help, what choice did she have? The paychecks Amanda earned were barely enough to sustain them. If she lost this job, it would be a spiral she couldn't afford. Amanda had taken a deep breath that morning, smoothing her uniform and tying Bella's hair in a small bow. "Promise me you'll stay close, honey," she'd whispered, pressing a gentle kiss to Bella's forehead. "Mommy has lots of rooms to clean, but I'll keep you with me, okay?" Bella, with her bright eyes and toddler's innocence, nodded eagerly, not understanding the gravity of her mother's worries. All her life, Amanda had been weighed down by responsibilities. Her mother had passed away when Amanda was young, leaving her to fend for herself in a world that felt increasingly unkind. She'd grown up faster than most girls her age, left high school early to work, to pay rent, to maintain some thread of stability, and somewhere in that whirlwind, she'd fallen in love with a man named Jordan Miles. He was enchanting. Sweet smiles, caring voice, and grand aspirations. She'd met him when she worked as a waitress at a small bistro outside the city limits. He was just a customer, but from the moment their eyes locked, it felt like a moment pulled out of a dream. Yet that dream had turned into heartbreak. Jordan disappeared when she got pregnant. No calls, no forwarding address, and no closure, just an emptiness that stung. She'd tried searching for him, half out of anger, half out of longing, but it was as though he'd vanished from the face of the earth. She gathered what was left of her dignity and moved on, determined to raise Bella alone, to give her child the safety Amanda herself had always craved. Now, all these years later, in the hushed elegance of the city's most luxurious hotel, Amanda balanced precariously between fear of discovery and unwavering dedication to Bella's needs. Checking that her manager was nowhere in sight, she set Bella on a small velvet ottoman near the staff elevator. "Stay right here," Amanda told her gently. "Mommy needs to grab the cleaning cart, then we'll go upstairs." Bella, dressed in a pink sweater that Amanda had salvaged from a thrift store, kicked her feet in excitement. The swirl of businessmen, elegantly dressed women, and uniformed staff scurrying around had her wide-eyed. Rarely had Bella seen such fancy surroundings. Her innocent wonder made Amanda smile, though the anxiety in her own chest only tightened. She managed to wheel out the housekeeping cart, the squeaking wheels echoing across the marble. With one protective hand on Bella's shoulder, she led them both toward the private elevator reserved for certain VIP suites. The hotel was abuzz with rumors. An influential business magnate was arriving today. Someone big, a CEO from an international corporation looking to discuss potential investments. The staff had spent days scrubbing the presidential suite from top to bottom in anticipation of his arrival. By some trick of fate, Amanda had been assigned the final touches. "Just check that everything's perfect," the head housekeeper had ordered her that morning. "He'll be in by late afternoon, so be out of that suite by 3 p.m. sharp." Stepping into the sleek elevator, Amanda held Bella's hand and kept her eyes on the doors, half hoping that no one would join them. But the elevator remained empty as it carried them up, quietly humming. Once at the top floor, Amanda immediately sensed the shift. The corridor was plush, lined with tasteful art. Even the lighting felt more refined, saturating the thick carpet with a warm, golden hue. Bella giggled, delighted by the cushy carpet beneath her shoes. "Hush now," Amanda whispered. "We can't make too much noise. We'll just do our work and leave." Inside the presidential suite, sunlight filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city skyline. The decor was modern but cozy, with plush couches and delicate orchids arranged on side tables. Amanda quietly set to work, dusting surfaces, wiping mirrors, meticulously inspecting the linens. Bella wandered close to the massive windows, enthralled by the tiny cars far below. "Mommy, look how small everything is," she squealed. Amanda forced a laugh, nerves pinching at her temples. "Stay right here, baby," she repeated, glancing toward the open suite door. She had no illusions about the trouble she'd be in if management discovered Bella up here. But as she worked, time ticked dangerously close to that 3 p.m. deadline. She had expected to be alone, yet the rumbling of a rolling suitcase in the hallway made her freeze, polishing cloth in hand. Her heart sank. Someone was arriving. Could it be the VIP? She cast a desperate look toward Bella, who had grown bored of waiting in one spot. "Bella, come here," Amanda pleaded in a low voice, but the child was already skipping toward the door. Amanda scrambled to catch her, but the cleaning cart blocked her path momentarily. By the time she squeezed around it, Bella had slipped right out into the hallway. A chorus of startled voices drifted in. The last voice to speak was male, a baritone that resonated with a startling familiarity Amanda couldn't quite place. She ran after her daughter, fear pounding in her chest. "Bella, stop!" Then it happened as if in slow motion. Bella ran into the legs of a tall figure dressed in an impeccably tailored suit. Guards flanked him on both sides, and a personal assistant was reading out the day's schedule. But it was Bella who commanded his attention. She gazed up at him, eyes wide, then rummaged in the small sweater pocket and pulled out a folded picture. An old snapshot of Amanda and a younger man. Bella had found it weeks ago and carried it everywhere, always insisting, "Daddy." Amanda had never mustered the courage to throw it away, hoping Bella would eventually forget. But she never did. "This is my daddy from the picture," Bella announced in a triumphant toddler voice, pressing the crinkled photo to the man's chest. He froze, turning from the photograph to Bella's face with a stunned expression. Amanda rushed forward, her breath caught painfully in her throat, and in that moment, the world seemed to collapse around her. Because the man Bella was pointing at, the one who'd turned slowly with wide, astonished eyes, was Jordan Miles. Amanda felt the blood drain from her face. Could it really be him? Her Jordan, disappeared so many years ago, now standing in the corridor like a ghost who had come back to life? She recognized him at once, despite the subtle changes. A sharper jawline, more confident posture, an aura of authority that exuded from his tailored suit and crisp tie. Memories flooded her mind, the stolen laughs they had shared, the soft confessions in the dark of that tiny apartment, and the heartbreak that followed when he disappeared without even a note. "Mama," Bella said, pointing to the photo again. "See? It's him. It's Daddy." The corridor fell silent. The personal assistant's voice trailed off into nothing, and even the bodyguard seemed uncertain, glancing back and forth between Amanda, Bella, and this imposing CEO. The overhead chandelier reflected off the polished floors, off the gold accents in the walls, making everything too bright, too surreal, as if this might be a dream or a nightmare. Jordan's gaze swung from Bella to Amanda, recognition dawning in his eyes. There was confusion, shock, perhaps even guilt flaring in those dark irises. Time stretched unbearably. Amanda's chest felt tight. She wanted to vanish, to protect Bella from this sudden surge of the past. "Excuse me," the assistant finally said, clearing her throat. "Mr. Miles, should we—" She never finished her sentence. Jordan brushed aside his staff with a tremor in his hand. "Amanda?" His voice was barely above a whisper, yet it vibrated through Amanda's entire body. "Amanda? How? My God, is this—" His eyes dropped to Bella, who clutched the photo as if it were a prized possession. "Is she—" Amanda swallowed, tears threatening to spill. She didn't know whether to throw her arms around him, to scream, or to run. All the old hurt rushed in. "Jordan Miles," she finally managed to say, her voice trembling. "You disappeared. You never even knew I was pregnant." A stunned hush continued. The bodyguards exchanged glances, uncertain whether they should intervene. The assistant silently slipped her phone away. Any scheduled meeting now meaningless in the face of this scandalous discovery. Bella took it all in with a toddler's perspective, completely unaware of the tension saturating the hallway. "Daddy's from my picture," she repeated, holding the photo up to Jordan's face with a grin. Jordan slowly knelt, the fabric of his expensive suit rippling as he lowered himself to Bella's eye level. Amanda watched, breath caught in her throat. She saw a mixture of heartbreak and wonder in his expression. I had no idea," Jordan stammered. His voice carried a rawness that cut Amanda to the core. "Amanda, I didn't know. Nobody told me." Amanda's knees felt weak. She ached to believe him, to let out all the tears and frustrations pent up for years, but the betrayal still stung. We were nothing to you," she said quietly, forcing composure. "You vanished. No calls, no letters, no explanation." Jordan pressed his lips together, as though grappling with memories that threatened to overwhelm him. "I was forced to leave," he managed, barely audible. "Everything changed in a single night. My father's business. It got complicated. My entire family was uprooted and relocated overseas. I looked for you, but you had left the bistro. He stopped, as if the words died in his throat. Amanda inhaled sharply. If her heart wasn't pounding so ferociously, if her mind wasn't swirling with 1,000 questions, she might have noticed the pitying looks on the employees who stood gawking at them. She might have noticed the clock on the wall ticking well past 3 p.m., or the hush that had enveloped the corridor. But all she could see was Jordan kneeling beside Bella, his face a mix of amazement and regret. "Mommy?" Bella asked, turning her head to look at Amanda. "Are you mad at me?" She was picking up on the tension. Any child would sense that undercurrent. Amanda forced a gentle smile. "No, sweetheart," she whispered. "You just surprised Mommy. And everyone." Jordan slowly rose, his gaze flicking from Bella to Amanda. "We need to talk," he said, sincerity etched into every word. "Please, just give me a chance to explain." But the chaos of the moment was too great. Amanda's mind whirled. This was a high-profile CEO in the middle of a major hotel, and she was just the housekeeper who had smuggled her child onto the premises. Fear of losing her job wrestled with the reemergence of old wounds and the heartbreak she had bottled up, and Bella stood between them, the living reminder that the love they once shared had never really ended. The manager, hearing the commotion, stormed around the corner. His face shifted from stern to worried as soon as he spotted Jordan Miles. Mr. Miles was the VIP of the day, the very guest they were told to accommodate at all costs. But nothing had prepared him for such a personal drama unfolding right here, outside the most expensive suite in the hotel. The manager's voice trembled, half out of breath. "Sir, is there a problem? Ms. Delgado, who gave you permission to bring a child into the suite?" His tone was one part panic, one part anger. Amanda opened her mouth to respond, but the words caught in her throat. Jordan Miles, with surprising resolve, stepped in front of the manager. "She's here with me," he said, a ring of authority to his voice. "And I want her here." Amanda's heart fluttered dangerously. She felt the tension loosen just enough for the manager to shift his glare away from her. But the eyes of every staff member present bored into them, and Amanda realized that this was only the beginning. The old love, the heartbreak, the child who had never known her father, the corporate empire Jordan ruled, Somehow, they were all about to collide. "Mommy, can we go home now?" Bella asked innocently, tugging on Amanda's uniform. The expression on her daughter's face was a mixture of curiosity and confusion. Amanda took a trembling breath, shooting a look at Jordan. He appeared shaken but determined, as though he wouldn't let her slip away a second time. It was a far cry from the boy who'd once left her life in an instant. Yet how could she trust his sudden reappearance after 3 years of silence? Before she could voice any of her swirling thoughts, the manager, trying to salvage the hotel's polished reputation, cleared his throat. "Sir, perhaps we can move this conversation into the suite, away from the hallway." Jordan nodded, stepping aside to offer Amanda passage. She hesitated, her heart pounding with memories, resentments, hopes, and fears all tangled together. Finally, for Bella's sake, she took a step forward. The manager motioned to staff to stand back, and quietly, the small party made its way into the grandeur of the presidential suite. Amanda had no idea what would happen next. But one thing was clear: the man who had vanished from her life was back, and he was Bella's father. Whatever explanation he offered, whatever heartbreak he'd bring up from the depths of the past, this conversation would change everything. A breathtaking silence fell inside the presidential suite, broken only by the hum of the air conditioning that gently ruffled the plush curtains. Amanda stepped in, painfully aware of each footfall sinking into the thick carpet. She kept Bella close, the child's tiny hand clutching her uniform sleeve. Across the spacious living area, bathed in soft ambient lighting, Jordan Miles lingered near the grand piano, his expression pensive. The manager cleared his throat again. "Mr. Miles, I'll leave you to your discussion," he offered hesitantly, all too eager to diffuse a situation that threatened the hotel's serene facade. Jordan nodded without speaking, his eyes never leaving Amanda. When the door clicked shut, isolating them from curious staff and guests, Amanda felt her pulse drumming. Bella looked around the ornate space. Vases of fresh orchids, gilded mirrors, elegantly upholstered chairs. It was a far cry from the cramped studio apartment they called home. Jordan broke the silence first. "Is there somewhere we can sit?" His voice wavered, eyes darting between mother and daughter. Amanda, unsettled by the surrealness of it all, gestured to a sofa upholstered in cream velvet. She sank onto the cushion, Bella perched beside her, while Jordan carefully lowered himself onto a nearby armchair. For a time, no one spoke. The hush magnified everything: Bella's soft breathing, the gentle whir of the minibar refrigerator, the tension saturating the air. I never knew," Jordan finally said, voice subdued. "About her. About you being pregnant." Amanda's jaw tensed. She forced herself to look at him. Truly look. He wore the refined presence of a CEO, a crisp navy suit, polished shoes, cufflinks that gleamed under the chandelier. But the face was the same, albeit more mature, more guarded. "If you had any idea," she replied, voice wavering, "why didn't you come back, or at least call? I searched for you, Jordan. I tried to find a number, an address. Nothing." Jordan inhaled, raking a hand through his short-cropped hair. "I left the night my father told me we'd be moving overseas. It wasn't a plan. It was an order. How do I say it without making excuses? My family's empire was on the brink of collapse. The meltdown forced us to relocate overnight, literally. I tried to find you once I'd settled in London, but—" He paused, swallowing an ache that rose in his throat. "The bistro closed, your cell phone was disconnected, and no one had your new address. I was desperate. I thought, maybe you'd moved on. Maybe you wanted to forget me." Amanda swallowed her emotions. She'd nursed heartbreak so profound that at times it felt easier to pretend Jordan had never existed. "I didn't just move on," she whispered. "I was alone. I had to raise Bella, without you." Shifting her focus, Amanda smoothed a hand over Bella's curls, trying to soothe the swirling tension inside her chest. She flashed back to countless nights working double shifts as a waitress, her swollen belly pressed against kitchen counters, tips barely covering rent. Bella had come into a world that offered them little sympathy. Jordan stared at Bella, who dangled her legs over the sofa edge, eyes fixed on the shimmering city lights outside. "Bella," he said softly, testing the name. She turned her head, curious. He offered a trembling smile. "That's your name, isn't it?" The toddler nodded, hugging the crumpled photo to her chest. She stared at him, wide-eyed, as if trying to decide whether he was friend or foe. "You look like the man in Mommy's picture," she said, her voice carrying that childish directness. "I was a baby in Mommy's tummy, and she said Daddy went away. Are you my daddy?" The question was unfiltered, as only a child could phrase it. Amanda's heart throbbed. Jordan blinked, struggling to maintain composure. He cleared his throat, edging forward on his seat. "Yes, Bella, I'm your dad." Bella tilted her head. "But where were you?" There was no accusation in her tone, just the pure curiosity of a little girl who'd spent her short life fatherless. Jordan glanced at Amanda, clearly searching for words. "I was far away, Bella," he replied gently. "I didn't know you existed. It's—" He hesitated, afraid to dump a grown-up explanation on a child so small. "It's complicated, but I promise I'm here now, and I want to make things right." Amanda sat stiffly, torn between the desire to protect Bella and the flicker of old love that threatened to reignite. The memory of Jordan's kindness, how he'd once made her laugh, how he'd saved his every tip to buy her a small charm bracelet, warred with the heartbreak he'd left behind. "Make things right?" Amanda repeated, her voice taut. "You show up, unannounced, in a $5,000 suit, and think you can just step back into our lives? It's not that simple." A pained hush followed his statement. He looked at Bella, then at Amanda as though trying to convey the sincerity he struggled to articulate. "Amanda, if I'd known, believe me, nothing would have kept me from you, from our daughter." A thundercloud of silence formed. Something in his gaze implored her to believe him. She remembered the naive girl she once was, hoping for an impossible future with him. Now, confronted with the father of her child, so many unanswered questions rose up. Questions about blame, about forgiveness, about whether the two of them could bridge the gulf that had formed. Bella, sensing the tension, slid off the couch and took a few tentative steps. As if drawn by a magnet, she moved closer to Jordan, her toddler curiosity guiding her. He held himself still, uncertain whether to pick her up or stay put. She studied him for a moment, then quietly handed him the photo. "This is you and Mommy," she said, pointing. "Mommy was smiling a lot. She's tired now." The simple observation clenched Amanda's heart. She bit her lip, feeling exposed. Jordan took the photo with a gentle hand, staring at the image. Amanda at 19, wearing a faded apron from the bistro. Him in his cheap jacket, both of them beaming as if the future was limitless. "We were happy," Jordan said, voice catching. Amanda exhaled, a swirl of memories tugging at her. "That picture was taken 2 weeks before you disappeared." Jordan looked at her, regret etched across his features. "I was going to propose," he said softly. "I bought a ring, the best I could afford at the time, hidden in my jacket pocket. Then my father showed up, forced me onto a plane, threatened to cut off everything if I stayed behind, to ruin you if I defied him. I was young and stupid, and I was too scared to fight back." His admission hung in the air. Amanda gripped the sofa arm, steadying herself. She recalled glimpses of Jordan's father, a formidable business mogul. She'd never understood the full details, only that Jordan hated the pressure of his father's demands. "You could have at least tried to call," she muttered, tears burning her eyes. "I thought you'd abandoned me." Jordan looked down, shaking his head. "I didn't know you were pregnant, Amanda. It might have changed everything. I swear I tried to find you later, but it was like you vanished." My father threatened to cut off all contact with my old life. He broke off, frustration trembling in his voice. I know words aren't enough, but I need you to know I didn't just walk away from you by choice. Bella, overhearing the emotional exchange without fully comprehending, climbed onto Jordan's lap. It was an intimate gesture that made Amanda's heart stutter. She watched Bella's small arms circle his neck. Hesitant, Jordan curled an arm around her, tears glimmering in his eyes. Amanda realized her cheeks were damp. She dashed away the tears with her wrist, swallowing a lump in her throat. "What do you want from us, Jordan?" she finally asked, voice subdued. "We've gotten by without you. Bella's grown up fine. She's the brightest little girl I know. We're not your charity case." Jordan swallowed, pressing a kiss to Bella's hair. The simple act nearly overwhelmed Amanda with conflicting emotions. Envy, sadness, a yearning she'd buried deep. "I want to make up for lost time," he said softly. "To be part of Bella's life if you'll let me, and to help you, both of you, any way I can." Across the suite, the city lights twinkled beyond the panoramic windows. Amanda thought of the cramped corners of her current reality, her paycheck, her meager child support from an absent father who didn't exist until mere minutes ago, the long hours, the missed birthdays, the desperate juggling of caretaker schedules. "What about your father?" she asked, almost reflexively. "What if he disapproves again, or tries to separate you from us a second time?" Jordan's jaw set. "I'm not the same kid who let him rule my life. I run the family empire now. My father—" He paused, eyes flickering with an unresolved pain. "He's no longer in control. I won't let anyone stand between me and my daughter." Bella's eyelids drooped. The day's adventure, riding the bus with Amanda to the hotel, meeting new faces, and the swirl of adult conversation was clearly wearing on her. Jordan stroked her hair, a fatherly instinct that surprised even him. Amanda's chest squeezed. It was a moment she'd imagined countless times. A father who cared, who cherished their child. But the raw wounds from their past didn't just vanish with one conversation. Still, she couldn't deny the pang of longing in Bella's eyes every time she saw other children with their dads. The extra heartbreak each time Bella scribbled a card labeled Daddy and asked why he never came to pick her up. Could Amanda really deny Bella the father standing right here, seemingly repentant and wanting a second chance? She cleared her throat, smoothing her uniform skirt with shaking fingers. I need time, Jordan. This is all happening so fast. Bella and our life is simple and small, but it's safe. Do you understand? I'm not sure how she'd handle suddenly being part of your wealthy world. I'm afraid we'll get swallowed up in it." Jordan nodded. "I understand. I'll move slowly. I just ask for the opportunity to be here, to prove I won't run. Maybe we can start by, I don't know, scheduling a time for me to see Bella again?" He spoke tentatively, as if expecting her to say no. Amanda took a breath, mind spinning with possibilities. She hesitated to trust him, yet the spark of hope in Bella's eyes was undeniable. We'll figure something out," Amanda said finally, though the catch in her voice betrayed her anxiety. "But I have to know you're serious. This can't be a fleeting promise." Jordan nodded gravely as though her words were a vow he intended to keep. "Whatever you need, I'm here." Guilt swelled in Amanda's chest, warring with relief. She'd spent years coping with the belief that Jordan had abandoned her. Hearing him say otherwise made her want to crumble into his arms, but she reminded herself that trust wasn't regained so easily. A sleepy Bella yawned, nuzzling closer to Jordan's suit jacket. "Mommy, can we go now?" she murmured. She was just a child, unaware of the emotional minefield swirling around her. Amanda stood, smoothing her hair. "Yes, sweetheart. It's past your bedtime. We'll go home." Jordan gently lifted Bella and carried her over to Amanda. As Amanda took Bella in her arms, Jordan hovered uncertainly, as if reluctant to let them go. "I'll walk you down," he offered. Amanda shook her head. "No, I've already caused enough trouble. The manager, my job." She bit her lip. "It's best if you stay here and settle in. I'll slip out quietly." Regret flickered across his face. "At least let me help in some way. Money for a cab or—" She bristled, old pride rearing. "I'm used to taking care of us," she said, softer than she intended. "I'll manage." Jordan looked like he wanted to argue, but he held back. "Then please, call me when you get home, so I know you're both safe." Amanda hesitated before nodding slowly. "All right, I'll text you." She took a piece of notepaper from the suite's desk and scribbled her phone number, hesitated, then handed it to him. "I only have a prepaid phone and coverage is spotty," she explained, cheeks flushing. Jordan took the slip of paper like it was the most precious item in the world. "Thank you." Without another word, Amanda pressed Bella's head to her shoulder and slipped out of the suite. The manager glanced at her from down the hallway, brow knitted in worry, but said nothing as she maneuvered the cleaning cart away. Her mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. The re-emergence of a lost love, the risk of losing her job, the uncertain future that had abruptly yawned open. She carried Bella in her arms back through the staff elevator, quietly riding it down to the ground floor. Then, under the bright lobby lights, she made a swift exit through the side entrance to avoid suspicious glances. Outside, the city's hustle greeted her, late-night traffic, pedestrians scurrying. Amanda paused to reposition Bella, who was drifting in and out of sleep against her shoulder. She spotted her reflection in a glass storefront, a slim, exhausted woman in a housekeeper's uniform, clutching a child. Her reflection looked as though it belonged in some melodrama. She exhaled a shaky breath. "He's back," she murmured to no one. The enormity of that realization weighed down her every step. She navigated the sidewalk until she reached the bus stop, Bella's hair brushing against her neck. Time seemed suspended, her mind locked on Jordan's face, those eyes that once made her heart dance, now brimming with remorse. Could she let him try to fix what had broken so long ago? The bus arrived, rumbling and sputtering. Amanda boarded, swiped her pass, and took a seat at the back. Bella stirred enough to curl into Amanda's side. As the city lights streaked past the windows, Amanda found herself gently rocking her daughter, heart torn between hope and apprehension. She had spent years refusing to dwell on the what-ifs, telling herself that life was easier without illusions. Now illusions had shown up in the form of Jordan Miles, demanding to rewrite the script. Her thoughts churned until the bus reached their stop in the modest neighborhood. The sidewalks were cracked, street lights flickered. It was worlds away from the hotel's pristine marble floors, from Jordan's corporate empire. Letting herself into the small apartment with a single flick of the overhead light, Amanda set Bella gently on the sofa. The toddler stirred, half awake. "Home. Sweet home," Amanda whispered, brushing her lips over Bella's brow. She tried to push away the swirl of memories from the suite. Jordan's protective posture, the expensive cologne faintly clinging to Bella's sweater. Staring at her phone on the kitchen counter, she finally sighed. Reaching for it, she typed a brief text. "We're home." A moment passed before she hit send to the number Jordan had typed into her phone earlier after she relented to letting him help. It felt like crossing a threshold she once believed impassable. Now, all she could do was wait for the next step, uncertain, yet incapable of ignoring the second chance fate seemed to have handed them. Sunlight peeked through the thin curtains of Amanda's small apartment, casting stripes across the modest living room. She stirred on the couch where she had eventually curled up beside Bella after tucking the child in. The night's turmoil weighed heavily on her mind, replaying in flashes. Jordan's trembling voice, Bella dozing in his arms, the swirl of unanswered questions. She'd barely slept. A muffled rumble of traffic drifted in from the street below, and Amanda sat up, rubbing her eyes. Her phone lay on the coffee table, dark screen betraying no activity. She slid over, picking it up to check for any messages. Nothing. A small, irrational part of her felt a pang of disappointment. She'd texted Jordan to say they were home safely. He'd responded with a short note, "Thank you," the night before, but now, no sign of him. "Mommy?" Bella's sleepy voice broke the quiet. The child blinked awake, hair tousled, still wearing the faded pink pajamas she'd changed into. "Good morning, sweet pea." Amanda mustered a smile she didn't quite feel. Her mind was already roiling with the concerns of the day, how to keep her job at the hotel after the previous evening's fiasco, how to pay bills, how to process Jordan's sudden reappearance. For Bella's sake, though, Amanda needed to appear calm and normal. "You slept well?" Bella nodded, yawned, and gazed around the cramped living space. A second-hand TV on a small stand, a few battered shelves of children's books, a chipped kitchenette behind them. Yet it was theirs, a space Amanda had fought to keep. "Are we going back to the big hotel?" Bella asked, bright-eyed at the memory of chandeliers and high ceilings. A twist of anxiety coursed through Amanda's chest. She had no idea if the manager would even allow her through the doors today. Bringing a child to work, especially one who ended up colliding with an elite VIP, violated every professional boundary. "I have to see," Amanda answered gently. "I might have to talk to my boss and sort things out." Bella swung her legs over the couch, the conversation drifting over her head. "I'm hungry," she declared in a sing-song voice. Amanda hoisted herself up with a sigh. She rummaged in the cupboard for the half-empty box of cereal and poured the last of the milk. Her grocery supply was low, a perpetual state, but she had no time to dwell on it now. She set the simple breakfast in front of Bella, who happily munched away. As Bella ate, Amanda mentally rehearsed possible scenarios for the day. The manager might reprimand or fire her on the spot, or if Jordan intervened, perhaps he'd pressure the hotel to spare her. The notion of relying on Jordan's power unsettled her. She'd always prided herself on taking care of Bella on her own. She didn't want to become a burden or risk owing him too much. Still, if it kept her from losing her only source of income. She checked the clock on the microwave. If she hurried, she could get Bella ready, drop her with the neighbor who sometimes babysat on short notice, and rush to the hotel to see the manager before the shift started. Gathering fresh clothes from a small dresser, she helped Bella change, brushed out her curls, then quickly threw on her own uniform. The uniform was less than pristine, showing signs of frequent laundering. The hem was fraying. She tightened the tie around her waist, smoothing wrinkles. No matter how worn her attire, she always tried to carry herself with dignity. Today, though, her nerves felt raw. In the hallway outside, Mrs. Graves, an elderly widow living across the corridor, answered Amanda's timid knock. She raised a wrinkled brow at the request for impromptu babysitting. "Of course, dear," Mrs. Graves said, eyeing Bella fondly. She adored the child's bright spirit and often watched her for an hour or two in emergencies. "Go do what you must. She'll be safe with me." Amanda bent low, hugging Bella. "I'll be back soon. Be good, all right?" Bella nodded, clinging to Amanda's hand for a moment before letting go. With a grateful smile, Amanda hustled down the creaky stairs and out onto the sidewalk. The early morning air was brisk, laced with exhaust fumes and the scent of a corner bakery. A bus ride later, she arrived at the grand facade of the Watermark Hotel, its polished floors visible through glass doors, the uniformed doorman greeting arriving guests. Steeling herself, Amanda approached. The doorman gave her a quizzical glance but said nothing. As she stepped inside, the lobby's opulence struck her afresh. Crystal chandeliers, marble columns, meticulously placed flower arrangements. Her heart hammered. She half expected security to escort her out. Pausing near the reception desk, she spotted the manager, Mr. Rowan, a tall man with a thin mustache who was scanning something on a clipboard. Sensing her presence, he glanced up, expression unreadable. Amanda forced a polite smile and walked over. Mr. Rowan, she began, voice catching. I need to speak with you about last night. I know bringing my daughter was against policy, but... He silenced her with a raised palm, though not harshly. Ms. Delgado. He sighed, setting the clipboard down. In all my years here, I've never seen such a precarious situation. But Mr. Miles, our VIP, specifically requested that no disciplinary action be taken against you. Amanda blinked, relief warring with indignation. He said that? Rowan nodded, glancing around to ensure no eavesdroppers. He insisted it was a misunderstanding. If it were up to me, staffers would never bring their children onto these floors. But apparently, Mr. Miles is personally invested in the matter. His gaze traveled over Amanda's uniform, speculation in his eyes. You will keep your job. However, I expect no more improprieties. Amanda swallowed a wave of conflicting emotions. Jordan had saved her job, an act of generosity or paternal duty perhaps, but accepting it made her uneasy, as if her independence was slipping away. Of course, she said softly. I appreciate your leniency. I promise it won't happen again. The manager, though relieved to have the VIP's favor intact, still eyed Amanda with caution. You're assigned to standard guest rooms today. Don't go anywhere near the presidential suite unless specifically told. His tone was curt. Now, get to your shift. There's a backlog of checkouts needing attention. She nodded, murmuring a quiet thanks. At least she still had a paycheck. Moving quickly to the staff area, she retrieved her cleaning cart, feeling the stares of curious co-workers. Word must have spread about last night's drama. She tried to ignore the prying glances and turned her focus to restocking towels, soaps, and supplies. Just as Amanda was about to head up with her cart, she felt a small vibration in the pocket of her apron. Her phone. Heart pounding, she slipped it out. A text from Jordan. Are you at work? I'd like to see you, both of you, when possible. Her chest tightened. A swirl of thoughts rushed in. Should she respond? Should she keep her distance? She typed back a short reply. I'm working now. We can't leave again. Maybe later. After a moment's hesitation, she added, Bella is with a sitter. Then she clicked send, her pulse thrumming. The next few hours passed in a blur of routine tasks. Amanda cleaned room after room, changed linens, vacuumed carpets, and arranged toiletries. Her arms moved mechanically, but her mind kept drifting. She pictured Jordan's face when he first recognized Bella, the stunned, vulnerable look in his eyes. She recalled the warmth in his voice, the guilt that weighed on him like a heavy cloak. Could she believe his story? And if he truly wanted to be a father, what did that mean for their daily life? Just after noon, while polishing the bathroom fixtures in a suite on the 8th floor, her phone buzzed again. Another text from Jordan. I'm in the private lounge. If you have a moment to talk, let me know. No pressure. I just hope we can meet. She placed the phone aside. Heart tugged in two directions. The manager's warning resonated. Stay away from the presidential suite. But Jordan was apparently in the hotel's exclusive lounge, not the suite. The thought of facing him again so soon unsettled her, though. She told herself she was on the clock. She couldn't just drop everything to chat with him. Yet, around 2 p.m., as she wheeled the cleaning cart down a quiet hallway, she spotted Jordan turning a corner. He was alone this time. No assistant, no bodyguards in sight, and his gaze lit up when he saw her. Quickly, he approached. Her heart lurched at the closeness. He looked every bit the powerful executive. Yet the rawness in his expression softened his polished demeanor. She remembered, abruptly, the easy grin he wore in that old photograph, back when he had no suits or expensive cologne, just laughter and dreams. Amanda, he said quietly, glancing around the empty corridor. I didn't mean to corner you at work, I just needed to see you. She swallowed, resting a hand on the cart's handle. Jordan, the manager said, I know. He raised both hands, palms out in a gesture of peace. "I'm not trying to cause trouble for you. I'll keep this brief." A housekeeping cart squeaked somewhere in the distance, and the faint hum of the elevator gave them a sense of urgency. Amanda glanced over her shoulder. The last thing she needed was gossip or further complications. "Then make it fast," she murmured. Jordan exhaled, leaning in just enough that his voice didn't carry. "Thank you for texting last night. I was worried about how you two got home." He lowered his gaze, as if steeling himself for another admission. "Listen, I'd really like to spend time with Bella. Properly. Maybe take her out for an afternoon. I know it's sudden, but I want to be part of her life, Amanda. I can't change the past, but I can try to make a future." The sincerity in his voice tugged at her. The swirl of confusion rose in her throat. "This is all so much," she said softly. I've been mom and dad to her for 3 years. It's not like flipping a switch. You show up, she calls you daddy, and we're a family. I don't know if I'm ready for that." "I understand, truly. Let's start small." Jordan pressed gently, hope shining in his eyes. "A park visit, or maybe lunch. You can be there, of course." He gave a tentative smile. She shouldn't go off alone with a stranger, even if that stranger's her father. Hearing him say "father" rattled Amanda. A swirl of longing flickered beneath her guarded exterior. Bella had been fatherless for so long, yet her father was standing right here, offering to do the things she'd always hoped for. Could she deny Bella that chance? She inhaled shakily. "Let me think about it, okay? I have to pick her up after my shift. We'll be done around 5 if I'm lucky." He nodded. "All right, that gives me time to finish my meetings. Then maybe we can meet somewhere neutral? I could book a driver to drop you home, or—" Amanda shook her head, a bit of old pride flaring. "We'll manage the bus." She paused, noticing the flash of concern in his expression. "I'm serious. I don't want Bella thinking you'll just swoop in and fix everything with money. Our life doesn't work that way." Jordan's face softened. "I respect that. Let's compromise. I'll call a car for all of us, so we can travel together, show Bella something nice. It doesn't have to be fancy. I'd just like some time with her." Again, she felt the weight of the decision. The manager's footsteps echoed from the far end of the corridor. She made up her mind in a rush. "Fine, we can try. There's a playground near my apartment. It's usually not crowded around 6. Bella likes the swings." A flicker of relief coursed over Jordan's face. "Thank you," he said with quiet intensity. "I'll be there. Just send me the address, or I can meet you at your place." Amanda glanced in the direction of approaching footsteps. "I'll text you." She jerked her head for him to go. The last thing she wanted was another confrontation with Mr. Rowan. Jordan offered a fleeting, hopeful smile before turning and disappearing down the hallway. Amanda exhaled a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Her heart still hammered, and the rational part of her brain scolded her. Was she walking into another heartbreak? Or granting Bella the father figure she deserved? She reminded herself that she could always back out if it felt wrong. Bella's well-being was priority 1. Always. If Jordan turned out to be unreliable or too entangled in complications, Amanda would shield her daughter at all costs. As the manager emerged from around the corner, Amanda forced herself to resume a professional expression, adjusting the cleaning supplies on her cart. Mr. Rowan eyed her suspiciously. "Everything all right, Ms. Delgado?" "Yes," Amanda lied smoothly. "Just checking on the linen stock." He gave a curt nod, glancing down the now empty corridor, then turned and left. Amanda exhaled, relieved. She needed no further questions about her private conversation with Jordan Miles. By the end of her shift, the hotel had calmed from the morning rush. Amanda clocked out, retrieved her jacket from the staff locker room, and slipped outside onto the busy street. The crisp air hit her face and she realized she was bone-tired, physically from hours of cleaning, emotionally from the weight of Jordan's reappearance. On the bus ride home, she gazed at the changing cityscape, lost in thought. She was about to let Jordan meet Bella outside the formal bubble of the hotel, in her own neighborhood. A small, cramped corner of the world he knew nothing about. Fear mingled with a spark of excitement. Maybe Bella would finally have a father. Maybe she wouldn't have to keep asking for bedtime stories about a dad who never came. After collecting Bella from Mrs. Graves, Amanda led her daughter upstairs to freshen up. "We're going to the park," she explained, rummaging in Bella's chest of drawers for comfortable clothes. "And you might see someone special." Bella's face lit up, half guessing. "Daddy?" she asked, eyes full of innocent wonder. Amanda's breath caught. Hearing Bella call him Daddy sent a jolt through her system. "Yes," she managed. "You'll see him, but we'll only stay a little while, okay? If you get tired or want to leave, we go." The child nodded excitedly, oblivious to Amanda's churning nerves. In a blink, Bella was bouncing on her toes, ponytail swishing, impatient to head out. At exactly 6, Amanda led Bella down the stairs again, stepping onto the sidewalk outside their building. The small park was a few blocks away, a modest spot with a grassy lawn, a rusted jungle gym, and a couple of swings. Bella skipped alongside, the day's leftover energy in her every movement. Amanda spotted the black sedan parked near the curb before she noticed Jordan stepping out. No flashy limousine or entourage for which she was grateful, but the sleek vehicle still stood out in this rundown neighborhood. Jordan caught sight of them and lifted a hand in greeting. Bella nearly yanked free from Amanda's hold, excited. Amanda quickened her steps, mind swirling with conflicting emotions. When they reached him, Jordan crouched to greet Bella at eye level. "Hey there, princess," he said warmly, that hint of nervousness lingering in his voice. "Remember me from last night?" Bella giggled. "Yes, your daddy." She held out her arms. For a moment, Amanda wondered if Jordan was prepared for the wave of toddler affection. But he scooped Bella up, hugging her gently. The sight made Amanda's throat tighten. "Should we go?" Amanda asked, trying to keep her tone light. She gestured toward the park's entrance, where chipped paint spelled out the facility's name. A few neighborhood kids ran around in worn sneakers, oblivious to the tension hovering near the grown-ups. Jordan nodded, Bella still in his arms, and followed Amanda. Under the late afternoon sun, they strolled to the swing set, though stroll was hardly the right word for Amanda's taut nerves. She settled Bella into one of the swings, stepping back as Jordan placed his hands on the swing's chains and gave a gentle push. Bella squealed in delight, begging for more. Amanda stood slightly aside, arms folded. The scene felt surreal. Could this be their life? Casual visits to the park, father and daughter laughing over the squeak of old swings. She tried to imagine a future in which Jordan was present day after day. "It's good to see her smile like that," Jordan said softly, glancing at Amanda. "She has your eyes, you know." Amanda brushed a stray hair from her face, uneasy with the emotional closeness. "She's tough," she said. "Like me, I guess." Jordan gave a small nod. "I never doubted you'd be an incredible mom. You were always strong." He paused, watching Bella pump her legs. "I wish I'd known. The day I found out you'd vanished from the bistro, I tried everything. Private investigators, old contacts, but you'd changed addresses. Your phone was disconnected. My father made sure you were well hidden from me." Amanda's lips tightened. "Why? Why would he care so much to keep you from me?" Jordan exhaled. "He never approved of us. Thought you were beneath our station. He worried you'd be a distraction. Might complicate the family's corporate interests. When we moved, he threatened to sabotage your life if I resisted. I was naive. I believed him." His jaw flexed with lingering resentment. "Over time, I gained my footing in the family business. By then, every lead to you went cold. I believed you might have moved on, maybe found someone else. It tore me up, but I tried to respect what I assumed were your choices." Amanda's gaze fell to the worn ground beneath the swing. The injustice of it made her furious. For years, she'd assumed Jordan had left of his own accord. She had no idea about these manipulations behind the scenes. Bella's laughter drifted to them again, a pure sound that softened the tension. Amanda looked at her child's bright smile, the evening sun framing her in golden light. Jordan followed her gaze, voice low. "I'm sorry, Amanda. I know an apology doesn't fix everything, but I'll do whatever it takes. I have the resources now to give Bella a better life. I just need you to let me." Amanda's shoulders tensed. "I'm not a charity case. Bella isn't some project. We need more than money to fix what's broken." He nodded slowly. "I know. You have every right to keep me at arm's length, but I want to be here. I want you both to trust me enough to let me help. I want to take care of you." She watched him push Bella on the swing, uncharacteristic tenderness in his motions. "That'll take time," she said quietly, a warning she needed him to hear. "You can't just buy your way into her heart, or mine." "I wouldn't dream of it," Jordan murmured, maintaining his focus on Bella. "I want a real bond. I hope you'll give me a chance." Amanda shivered slightly in the late-day breeze, arms wrapped around herself. This was more than a father-daughter reunion. It was also about the two of them, about the love that had once ignited so powerfully. She hated to admit that deep down, a tiny ember still glowed, but letting that flame reignite would open old wounds. Bella demanded more pushes, squealing for Daddy's attention. Jordan laughed softly, the sound like a memory from years past. For a moment, Amanda allowed herself to imagine a version of life where Jordan had never left, where they raised Bella together without heartbreak. But the real world was messy and complicated, and she was terrified of letting Bella love someone who might vanish again. As twilight deepened, the park emptied of other families. Bella's yawns signaled it was time to go. Amanda took the child's hand, while Jordan hovered uncertainly. "I could drop you both home," he offered, pointing to the sleek sedan by the curb. Amanda hesitated, then nodded. A short drive wouldn't hurt. She led Bella to the car, settling her in the back seat. Jordan slid in beside them, instructing the driver to proceed toward Amanda's address. The quiet hum of the engine felt oddly comforting after the tension of the day. "You live far from your father's business empire?" Amanda asked, a small attempt to piece together Jordan's current life. He smiled wryly. "I've got my own estate, but I travel a lot. Right now, I'm in town to handle some mergers. The Watermark is hosting me while I finalize deals." She nodded, uncertain what to say next. The drive was short, barely 5 minutes, and soon they reached her street. The car's polished exterior drew a few curious stares from neighbors. Amanda felt self-conscious as Jordan stepped out, opening the door for her and Bella. Standing on the sidewalk, Bella clung to Amanda's hand, reluctant to say goodbye. Jordan knelt to her level. "I had fun today, Bella. You want me to come again?" Bella nodded vigorously, and Amanda's heart clenched. Jordan straightened, glancing at Amanda. "Thank you," he said earnestly, his gaze searching hers. "Would it be all right if I call tomorrow, or any day that's good for you?" Amanda inhaled. She couldn't just shut him out, not now that Bella was already so taken with him. "We'll work something out," she replied, voice quiet but resolute. They stood there for a lingering moment, two adults, once intimately connected, now stumbling through the process of forging a new bond as parents. Finally, Jordan offered a faint smile and returned to the sedan. Bella waved from Amanda's side, her eyes shining. The car pulled away, leaving Amanda in the gathering dusk. She guided Bella upstairs, noticing how the child chattered about the swings and her daddy pushing her so high. Amanda felt a twinge of guilt for being unable to offer her that kind of simple joy before. Yet she also knew it was not her fault. She'd done everything alone. with no father in sight. She prepared Bella's bedtime routine in a daze, reading a short story by lamplight. Once Bella dozed, Amanda tiptoed to the tiny kitchen area, leaning against the counter. The swirl of Jordan's reappearance, his confessions, his paternal warmth toward Bella, it left her shaken, hopeful, and afraid. Her phone buzzed, a text from Jordan. Just one sentence. "Thank you for letting me be part of her day." Amanda stared at the words, heart pounding. Then she typed a simple reply. "She's happy. That's what matters." Slipping the phone onto the counter, she let herself breathe. Tomorrow would come with more questions, about finances, about trust, about whether she could let Jordan close again. But for now, Bella was safe in bed, dreaming of swings and afternoon sunshine. Amanda closed her eyes, letting herself believe, if only for a moment, that they were taking the first steps toward a life she once thought impossible. The clang of a delivery truck outside startled Amanda from her light sleep. She opened her eyes to the pale rays of morning creeping through the window blinds. On the worn living room couch, where she'd fallen asleep again after tucking Bella into the bedroom, her neck felt stiff. She rubbed it gingerly, trying to shake off the haze of dreams that had swirled around her through the night. Dreams of Jordan, of Bella's laughter on the swing, of the haunting question, could they ever be a family? She blinked, thoughts gradually gathering focus. Saturday. No shift at the hotel, her usual day off, which meant she had no pressing reason to wake at dawn. Yet her body, accustomed to the daily bustle, refused to rest longer. Quietly, she rose and tiptoed to the kitchen, where a slow-drip coffee pot and a half loaf of bread signaled that breakfast was the best way to greet the day. The cupboard was sparse, but she'd scrounged something for Bella. The memories of the previous afternoon with Jordan rushed back, him pushing Bella on the swing, the child's unguarded giggles, the gentle warmth in his smile. She felt her guard rising again. It would be all too easy to let that memory overshadow the reality of how he'd once disappeared. The phone lay on the counter, unlit. She wondered if he'd message her today. Before she could get too lost in her thoughts, Bella's bedroom door creaked open, and a small pair of feet pattered across the floor. "Mommy?" Bella's sleepy voice called. "Morning, my love," Amanda replied softly, turning to see Bella rubbing her eyes. "Want some breakfast? I was going to make toast and scrambled eggs." Bella, still adjusting to the light, gave a tiny nod. Her hair stuck out in every direction, and she clutched the stuffed rabbit Amanda had found for her at a thrift store months ago. Taking Bella's hand, Amanda guided her to a chair at the small table. As Amanda beat the eggs in a plastic bowl, she heard Bella pipe up, "Is Daddy coming today?" The question seemed casual, as though Bella assumed Jordan's arrival was as certain as the sunrise. Amanda stilled. Bella had never used that word so freely before. But a few hours with Jordan and the child's sense of family had blossomed, unguarded and hopeful. Amanda knew she couldn't let that question linger unanswered, so she forced a gentle smile. "I'm not sure, sweetheart. Daddy might be working, but if he calls, I'll let you know, okay?" Bella's face brightened with possibility. "I hope he does," she said, swinging her legs under the table. "He's fun. He can push the swing really high." Amanda's heart twinged with a mix of pride and fear. She turned back to the stove and finished the eggs. Presenting Bella's plate, she offered a piece of toast cut diagonally, the best she could do to make breakfast feel special. The child ate happily, chatting about the bigger slides they might visit someday if Daddy came along again. After they finished and Bella ran off to color on a scrap of paper, Amanda sat at the table sipping coffee that was more bitter than she preferred. She considered the unknowns of the day. Could she invite Jordan around or text him? Would that be too forward? Or would waiting for him to make the next move be more prudent? Her phone buzzed, as if on cue, making her flinch. She picked it up. A message flashed on the screen. "Good morning. I hope you and Bella are well. Any chance I could see you both today? If I'm overstepping, please say so." Amanda's pulse fluttered. Bella, noticing her mother's distraction, bounded over, eyes shining with curiosity. "Is that Daddy?" she asked, craning her neck to see the screen. Amanda gently turned the phone away, though she had no intention of hiding it. She just wasn't sure how to explain this delicate situation. "He asked if we're free," she said softly, meeting Bella's gaze. "Would you like to see him?" Bella's enthusiastic nod spoke volumes. Amanda hesitated, then typed a concise reply. "We're free, but we'll keep it simple. No fancy places." She hit send, heart knocking in her chest. A few seconds later, his response appeared. "Of course. How about I come by around noon? We can do something close to your neighborhood." Letting out a slow breath, Amanda agreed. She told herself it was for Bella's sake, for her chance to see Jordan again. Yet deep inside, she felt an odd flutter of anticipation, a swirl of relief that Jordan hadn't just vanished. She also steeled herself, reminding her heart that trust wasn't something to be renewed overnight. The next few hours passed in a blur of cleaning up the apartment, sorting laundry, and distracting Bella from asking, "When is Daddy coming?" every 10 minutes. Around 11:30, Amanda took a quick shower, rummaged for clean jeans and a sweater. She brushed out her dark hair and pinned it back, noticing the faint worry lines near her eyes in the bathroom mirror. Had she always looked this tired? Bella, meanwhile, insisted on wearing a bright purple shirt she loved, plus the tiny sneakers that blinked with every step, a gift from Amanda on her last birthday. By the time a light knock sounded at the door, Bella practically vibrated with excitement. Amanda's heart thudded as she crossed the small living room. She hesitated, then opened the door. Jordan stood there, dressed more casually than she'd yet seen him. Dark jeans, a simple button-down shirt rolled at the sleeves. He offered a tentative smile, holding a small plastic bag in one hand. "Hey," he greeted, voice hushed, as though not wanting to spook her. "I wasn't sure if Bella liked sweets, but I got some cupcakes from a bakery near the hotel." Bella squealed and darted forward. "Cupcakes!" She snatched the bag from Jordan's hand with gleeful abandon. Amanda couldn't help a soft laugh. "Bella manners," she chided. "Thank you, Daddy." Jordan crouched, letting Bella peer into the bag. "You're welcome. I hope they have your favorite flavors." He looked at Amanda with an apologetic grin. "I wanted to bring something. I'm not trying to bribe you guys." Amanda just shook her head, a slight smile tugging at her lips. She gestured for him to come inside. The living space looked modest but neat. She'd done her best to tidy up in the limited time she had. She couldn't stop her cheeks from coloring as Jordan surveyed the cramped surroundings. "It's cozy," Jordan said gently, sensing her unease. "Really warm. I like it." Amanda felt relief that he wasn't looking down on her little apartment. Bella had already plopped onto the couch, rummaging in the bag to examine each cupcake. Jordan handed Amanda a small box as well. "I got coffee to go with the cupcakes in case you wanted some," he murmured, "and orange juice for Bella." The kindness made her insides twist. "Thanks," she said quietly. "You didn't have to do that." They stood there for an awkward beat, the clatter of Bella's excitement filling the space. Finally, Amanda nodded toward the old armchair. "Have a seat. I'll get some plates." Soon they were all gathered around the tiny table, Bella beaming at the sight of frosting-laden treats, Jordan glancing between mother and daughter with a hopeful expression. Amanda slid over a paper napkin, clearing her throat. "So, we could walk to the library or the park. We sometimes go there on weekends. Nothing fancy, like you said." Jordan smiled, leaning forward. "I'd love that. We don't have to do anything over the top, as long as I can spend time with you both." Bella shoved a bit of cupcake into her mouth. "I want to see the library first. Mommy reads me stories all the time." Amanda's heart clenched. She used the library frequently because children's books were free to borrow, and it allowed Bella to have new stories each week. She never thought that one day Jordan would be there to see it. "We can do that," Amanda answered, dabbing a crumb from Bella's chin. Jordan watched them, a softness in his gaze. "You're a good mom, Amanda," he murmured. "I see it in every little thing you do." Her cheeks burned. She glanced away. She wasn't used to compliments, especially from him. "I do my best," she said simply. After they finished snacking, Amanda helped Bella wash her hands and put on a light jacket. The three of them made their way downstairs, stepping into the midday sun that bathed the worn sidewalk. The library was a short walk, maybe 6 blocks. Jordan fell in step beside Amanda, who kept Bella's small hand clasped in hers. They passed the grocery store, the local clinic, the convenience store with chipped paint. Amanda couldn't help feeling self-conscious, guiding Jordan through a neighborhood that, in her eyes, seemed neglected. Potholes, graffiti, worn fences. She wanted to apologize or explain, but she also felt defiant. This was her home, and she refused to be ashamed. Jordan, for his part, didn't remark on the surroundings. Instead, he chatted easily with Bella, asking what kind of stories she liked best. Princess ones, adventure ones, or silly ones. Bella's enthusiasm soared as she described her favorite book about a dragon who made friends with a knight. Amanda noticed Jordan listening intently, genuinely engaged with every word Bella said. When they reached the library, a simple brick structure with large windows, Bella rushed toward the doors, pulling Amanda along. Jordan opened the door with a flourish, letting them step inside. The familiar hush greeted them, along with the faint smell of old pages and polished floors. "Hi, Ms. Delaney," Bella called, waving at the older librarian who often helped them find books. The woman waved back, though her eyes curiously flicked to Jordan. He was an unfamiliar addition to the typical mother-daughter duo. Amanda led them to the children's section, a bright corner filled with low shelves, foam puzzle mats, and pint-sized chairs. Bella dove into a small bin of picture books. Jordan stood by, hands resting in his pockets, smiling as Bella excitedly showed him each new discovery. "She loves the dragon stories," Amanda said softly, standing close to Jordan. "Anything with fantasy or fairy tale creatures?" He nodded, crouching to Bella's level. "Which one should we read first?" he asked her. Bella thrust a green-covered book into his hands. "This one, about the dragon who can't breathe fire. Mommy read it to me once, but I want to read again." Jordan settled into one of the child-sized chairs, comically small for his tall frame, and Bella plopped onto his lap. Amanda felt a tug in her chest as she hovered nearby. The sight of them together, engrossed in a whimsical story, was almost too poignant for words. Slowly, as Jordan read in a hushed voice, Amanda sat on a small bench, letting the moment sink in. This was what normal families did. Simple outings, story time, shared laughter. She realized she was holding her breath, afraid that if she exhaled, the moment would evaporate. A handful of pages later, Bella giggled at the clumsy dragon's attempts at flame-breathing. Jordan made silly sound effects, drawing the attention of a couple other kids who wandered over, intrigued by the lively reading. For a moment, it felt like the simplest, most natural thing in the world for them to be together. When the story ended, Bella hopped off his lap, rummaging for another book. Jordan cleared his throat, glancing at Amanda. "You both come here a lot, don't you?" She gave a small nod. "It's free, and Bella learns so much. She's bright. She picks up new words fast." He smiled. "That's great. I'm glad she has you guiding her." Amanda studied him. Beneath the easy charm, she saw the regret that flickered whenever he mentioned missed years. She found herself wanting to ease that regret, but the barriers between them, fear, uncertainty, lingering wounds, still loomed large. After nearly half an hour, Bella decided she wanted to check out 2 books. Ms. Delaney beamed at the child, scanning the barcodes. Then, with a polite nod to Jordan, she whispered, Bella's quite lucky to have a daddy who reads with her." Amanda saw Jordan's face briefly cloud, perhaps guilt or sadness at the idea of how recent that role was for him, but he nodded graciously, taking the bag of borrowed books. As they stepped back outside, the warm afternoon greeted them. "How about the park next?" Bella chirped, her second request coming to life. Amanda hesitated, aware that repeating the park routine might lead to meltdown territory if Bella grew tired. But Jordan gave a soft laugh. "Sure, unless your mom says otherwise." Amanda looked down at Bella's eager face. "All right, but not too long," she said, reminding Bella of the meltdown threshold. "We'll go to the same playground as before." Jordan fell into step beside Amanda, letting Bella prance ahead, still in sight. "I know we're taking this day by day," he said quietly, "but thank you for letting me in, just a little." She kept her eyes on Bella, who was excitedly skipping over a crack in the sidewalk. "I still have doubts," she admitted. "Bella's already so attached. If you vanish again, I don't know how either of us would handle it." He swallowed, voice soft with conviction. "I'm not leaving. Not unless you force me out. My father can't control me anymore. The business is in my name now. I'm free to make my own decisions." Amanda glanced at him, searching for any sign of duplicity. She saw only earnestness. "I hope you're right," she said simply, picking up her pace as Bella skipped around the corner. Within minutes, they reached the modest playground. A couple of neighborhood kids ran about, while a few parents or grandparents looked on from benches. Bella beelined for the slides, Jordan trailing her closely. Amanda settled onto a bench, letting them enjoy each other's company. She noticed some curious glances from familiar faces in the neighborhood. Her neighbor across the street gave a small wave, eyebrows lifted as if to say, "Who's this tall stranger with Bella?" Amanda managed a polite nod, feeling a touch self-conscious. Jordan and Bella climbed the small ladder, tested the slide's swirl, and squealed with laughter. The child's unbridled joy resonated across the park. Amanda allowed a small smile, a warmth filling her chest. If only this could be everyday life. But she knew reality wasn't always so carefree. She thought of the bills, the rent, the precariousness of her job. She thought of Jordan's corporate empire and the possibility that pressures from his business might drag him away again. She thought of Bella's big eyes and trusting heart, so easily broken if someone betrayed her. Lost in thought, she hardly noticed when Jordan came over, Bella perched on his hip, cheeks flushed from climbing. "It's amazing how much energy she has," he joked, setting Bella down so she could chase a new friend across the grass. "She's unstoppable," Amanda agreed, standing to greet them. "You want to sit, or we can keep watching from the bench?" Jordan glanced at the bench. "Let's walk," he suggested, eyes scanning the perimeter of the park, which was lined with a chain-link fence. The two of them started along a small path, occasionally calling out reminders for Bella to stay where they could see her. "So," Jordan began, "I'm here for about another week, maybe 2, finalizing negotiations. Then I'll have to return to London for a bit. But after that, I plan to be back and stay as long as needed. My business is mostly global now, so I can run it from anywhere." Amanda's heart sunk at the mention of leaving, even if only for a short while. She scuffed her toe against the dirt. "And what about Bella? Do you plan to pop in and out?" The question laced with an unspoken worry. He shook his head firmly. "No. I want to see if we can arrange regular visits, or maybe you'll allow me some weekends. If you'd consider letting me help financially, that could ease some burdens for you, but I don't want to overstep." Amanda swallowed hard. She'd spent so long scraping by on her own. The offer of support, real, reliable support, sounded like a lifeline. Yet she also feared losing her autonomy or letting Bella rely on his generosity. "I'll think about it," she said at last, voice quiet. Jordan nodded, respect in his gaze. "Whatever pace you need, I'm just grateful you're open to letting me be her father." Their footsteps crunched over scattered gravel. Amanda took a moment to watch Bella from afar, her ponytail bouncing as she climbed the slides ladder. "She's all I've had for so long," she said, her voice catching. "When I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified. But once she arrived, everything changed. I promised her I'd protect her no matter what." He listened closely, as though each word were a precious revelation. "You did protect her," he said gently. "You raised a happy, bright child. Alone. That's no small feat." A lump formed in Amanda's throat. For years, she'd wrestled with resentment at Jordan's absence. Now, hearing him praise her for it, she felt strangely validated. She blinked away sudden tears, hoping he wouldn't notice the emotion flickering in her eyes. The afternoon stretched on, the sun dipping lower. Eventually, Bella came running, breathless, demanding juice or water. Jordan retrieved a small bottle from a corner store across the street, while Amanda wiped Bella's face with a tissue, motherly care in every motion. By the time the sun drifted behind the rooftops, Bella was yawning. "I think that's enough excitement for one day," Amanda declared, gently tugging Bella's hand. "It's nearly dinner time." Jordan nodded. "I'll walk you back if you'd like. Or I can call a car. It's getting dark." Amanda looked around. The short distance to their apartment seemed safe enough, though she couldn't deny the neighborhood could be sketchy at night. "All right," she conceded. "We can let you walk us. But no car, please. Bella loves the short walk." A quick grin lit his face. "Fair enough." They strolled back in a companionable silence, Bella chattering intermittently about the stories they'd read at the library. As they neared the small apartment building, Jordan slowed, obviously dreading the parting. "Can I see you again tomorrow?" he asked, voice tinged with hesitation. "Or is that too soon?" Amanda gave a slow exhale, glancing at Bella. The child was half asleep on her feet, leaning into Amanda's side. "Tomorrow might be tough," she admitted. "I usually try to do laundry and errands on Sundays, but maybe after that if Bella isn't too tired." Jordan's eyes sparked with hope. "Anything works for me, just send a message." He paused at the entrance steps, turning to face them. "Thank you for today. Seeing her in these simple moments. It means more to me than you know." Amanda managed a soft smile. "She enjoyed it too," she said, stepping onto the first stair. "Good night, Jordan." He hesitated, as if weighing whether to give Bella another hug. The toddler, though drowsy, opened her arms. He bent down, enveloping her in a gentle embrace. "Good night, princess," he whispered, pressing a light kiss to her cheek. Bella mumbled something about dragons, already slipping toward dreamland. Then Jordan straightened, gazing at Amanda. For a moment their eyes locked in a silent exchange, years of longing, regret, and fragile hope merging in that instant. She almost thought he might lean in, perhaps for a chaste kiss or a brush of warmth. But he merely stepped back, hands slipping into his pockets. "Good night," he repeated, voice husky. With that, Amanda led Bella inside. She dared a glance back through the glass door, seeing Jordan still standing there watching them disappear up the dimly lit stairwell. The moment felt heavy, as if they'd crossed another line in their journey toward tentative reconnection. Safe in her apartment, Amanda settled Bella into pajamas, read a short bedtime story, another fantastical dragon tale, and tucked the child beneath a thin blanket. Bella drifted off quickly, worn out from the day's adventures. Amanda, however, lay awake, curled on the couch, mind churning with questions. She'd let Jordan into her world, her small, somewhat fragile world. She'd seen how Bella responded to him. She felt, in fleeting moments, the echo of the love that once bound them. But trust was a stubborn thing. It demanded time, proof, and reassurance. Could Jordan truly remain this devoted once the novelty wore off? Once the complexities of blending two separate lives arose? All she could do was hope. and keep her guard at least until she was certain that the man who had found them after all these years was indeed here to stay. Sunday morning arrived with a gentle drizzle tapping against Amanda's bedroom window. She awoke to the soft patter of raindrops, the soothing rhythm reminding her of life's quieter moments, those rare times she let herself be still. Bella was still asleep in the small bed they sometimes shared, her tiny body curled under a faded blanket. For a moment, Amanda lay there, a swirl of thoughts colliding in her mind. The events of yesterday, Jordan's tenderness, and the fragile hope that had begun to bloom. When Bella finally stirred, Amanda took advantage of the rainy day to linger in pajamas a little longer. They ate a simple breakfast, leftover toast, the last bit of butter from the fridge. Funds were running low, but at least payday was coming soon. She felt a pang of guilt, remembering Jordan's offer to help. It tugged at her. If she accepted, she might ease the financial strain, but risking dependence on him felt like stepping onto shaky ground. She wasn't certain yet if trust could truly be rebuilt. Late in the morning, as Bella doodled on a scrap of paper, Amanda scrolled through her phone. The forecast predicted the rain would lighten by midday, perfect for errands. She noticed her text thread with Jordan. His last words from the previous evening had been a simple, "Sweet dreams to both of you." No new message from him today. It was a bittersweet relief. Part of her had expected he'd reach out again, but maybe he was giving her space. Bella perked up when Amanda announced they'd be heading out soon. "Where are we going?" the child asked, setting aside her crayons. "Laundry first," Amanda replied with a playful roll of her eyes, as if to ward off Bella's inevitable groan. "Then maybe the grocery store if we have time. You can help me pick out apples." That was enough to spark excitement in a 3-year-old's mind. Within half an hour, Amanda had gathered their clothes into a battered laundry basket, pulled on a hooded jacket, and donned Bella in a small raincoat with bright duck prints. They trudged down the apartment stairs, the faint, musty smell in the corridor mingling with the fresh scent of rain that drifted through the open door. Outside, puddles dotted the sidewalk. Bella jumped over them gleefully while Amanda balanced the laundry basket on her hip. The laundromat was only 2 blocks away, a tiny storefront with flickering fluorescent lights. Inside, the buzz of washers and dryers lulled in the background, and a handful of neighbors sorted their clothes in silence. Amanda claimed an available washer, pouring in detergent carefully measured to avoid waste. Bella stood on tiptoe, peering into the machine's soapy water. It was a routine they'd done countless times, and yet Amanda's mind kept straying to thoughts of Jordan, wondering how he spent his Sunday, whether he was ensconced in business calls, or perhaps thinking of them too. She forced herself to focus on the mundane tasks, making sure she didn't overload the washer, counting out coins for the machine. As the laundry churned, she guided Bella to a small plastic chair by the window. An old TV in the corner played a muted infomercial, flickering images of cleaning products. They'd barely settled when the door chimed. Amanda glanced up, just another customer, but her breath caught. Jordan stood there in a casual jacket, damp from the drizzle, hair slightly ruffled. He offered a tentative smile as he stepped inside, scanning for them among the aisles of humming machines. "Daddy!" Bella squealed, sliding off the chair. She dashed across the worn linoleum floor, arms outstretched. Jordan caught her, and in that instant, Amanda felt every head in the laundromat turn their way. She rose, heart pounding. "Jordan, what are you doing here?" He laughed softly, balancing Bella on his hip. "Sorry, I hope I'm not intruding. I asked your neighbor, Mrs. Graves, if she knew where you'd gone. She mentioned you do laundry on Sunday mornings at this place." He shifted from foot to foot, still holding Bella. "I wanted to see you both. Thought maybe I could lend a hand with errands, if that's all right." Amanda's mind spun. She wasn't used to a man seeking her out so openly, especially not in this daily, unglamorous routine. She parted her lips, uncertain how to respond. Bella was already chattering about the swirling clothes in the washer, pointing to the half-filled basket of unwashed garments on the floor. Amanda cleared her throat. We've still got maybe an hour of laundry here. Then groceries. She let her guardedness surface in her tone. Are you sure you're fine hanging around? It's not exactly a five-star venue. Jordan lowered Bella gently, giving Amanda a lopsided grin. I'm not above a laundromat, trust me. I'd like to help fold, maybe pay for the dryer, just normal stuff, if you'll let me. Something in Amanda's chest squeezed. The suggestion felt so domestic, so everyday. She glanced around, noticing the curious stares from a few neighbors who recognized her as the single mom. Jordan's presence, tall, good-looking, obviously well off, had them raising eyebrows, but she swallowed her nerves. All right, she managed, brushing hair from her eyes. If you want to help, I won't stop you. Jordan nodded with quiet gratitude. He gently took the laundry basket from the floor and placed it near the next free washing machine. He even asked Bella for instructions on how to measure the detergent, which delighted the little girl. Amanda watched the pair, caught off guard by how seamlessly Jordan integrated himself. He joked with Bella, turned washers on, pressed the start button, like he'd done it 1,000 times. As the machines ran, the three of them found seats along a bench near the back wall. Bella snuggled between them, eventually bored by the hum of appliances. She dozed against Jordan's arm, lulled by the warmth and steady drone of the dryers. Amanda sipped from a battered water bottle, eyes occasionally flicking to Jordan. He spoke softly so as not to wake Bella. I know this is a small step, he said, but it feels good, being part of your routine, even if it's just laundry. Amanda gave a slight nod, not trusting herself to say much. Everything felt surreal. She was used to facing these tasks alone. Hauling clothes, scavenging for quarters, carrying a sleepy child. Now Jordan was here, bridging the gap she'd never expected to close. When the first washer finished, Jordan gently shifted Bella into Amanda's arms and got up to transfer the clothes to a dryer. She watched him feed coins into the slot, methodically turning the dial. The mundane nature of it tugged at her heart in a way she hadn't anticipated. He was so earnest, trying to fit into her life, into Bella's life, in the most ordinary sense. By the time all loads were washed and dried, Bella had perked up again, rummaging in the basket to help fold. Her version mostly involved balling up socks in random shapes, but Jordan didn't mind. He praised each one, which made Bella giggle with pride. Amanda found herself smiling in spite of her lingering caution. It felt nice, this camaraderie. They finished and headed out into the light drizzle. Jordan took the brunt of carrying the now fresh laundry. He insisted, in fact, so Amanda let him. Bella pranced alongside, pointing at puddles. Why don't you two let me drive you to the grocery store? Jordan offered, scanning the damp streets. I've got a car waiting nearby. It'll be easier with all this laundry. The old reflex told Amanda to refuse. She didn't want to rely on him. But her arms were already occupied with Bella's little hand, and the grocery store was a half-mile away. Under the drizzle, that walk might be miserable. She reluctantly nodded. All right, but just to the store. Then we can do the rest on our own. Jordan simply smiled. Deal. He led them a short way, and sure enough, a sleek sedan was parked discreetly. The driver opened the trunk for the laundry basket, and Bella scrambled into the back seat, wide-eyed at the plush interior. Amanda slid in beside her, exhaling quietly. This was the second time in as many days she rode in Jordan's car, but it still felt foreign. She told the driver the address of the closest supermarket, fidgeting with Bella's seatbelt to keep her nerves busy. The ride was short, made shorter by the comfort of a heated interior. Amanda pointed out a local bakery, a daycare center, and a few closed shops along the way. Jordan asked quiet questions. Which store do you usually visit for clothes? Where's Bella's preschool? Any parks nicer than the one we visited? She answered each with caution, but he seemed genuinely interested, not pitying. They arrived at the grocery store, a medium-sized market with flickering overhead signs. The trio hopped out. Jordan offered to carry a few reusable bags Amanda pulled from her pocket. She gave him a tight smile, leading Bella across the wet parking lot. Inside, the store was bright under fluorescent lights with aisles of produce, canned goods, and basic household items. "I'll just grab the necessities," Amanda murmured. She steered the cart to the produce section, picking out apples, a bag of potatoes, some carrots. Bella helped select bananas, and Jordan hovered at Amanda's side, occasionally suggesting they add a few more items: milk, eggs, a box of cereal. At one point, he discreetly slipped a couple of snack packs Bella seemed to like into the cart. Amanda noticed but said nothing. Her budget was tight, sure, but refusing small kindnesses felt petty. Still, she found herself scanning the price tags automatically, calculating whether she'd have enough cash for everything. When they reached the checkout line, Jordan pulled out his wallet. Amanda's eyes darted to him. "Jordan, you don't have to—" He held up a placating hand. "Please, let me do this. I want to." She wrestled with protest, then sighed. The total was more than she usually spent on a single trip, but Jordan covered it without blinking. The cashier, an older man, handed over the receipt and gave them a curious glance. Amanda felt a flush creep across her cheeks. She hoped the gossip wouldn't spread too fast in her tight-knit neighborhood. Back outside, the rain had dwindled to a light mist. Jordan carefully set the groceries into the trunk. Bella hopped around puddles, humming a little tune. Amanda caught a glimpse of her reflection in the car window, frazzled, uncertain, but with a strange light in her eyes. Before she could dwell on it, Jordan addressed her gently. "I know you're not comfortable accepting help, but I'm not doing this to control you. I just want to share the load. You and Bella deserve that." Amanda's grip tightened on the cart. She forced a nod, her throat constricting. "It's a lot to adjust to," she admitted. "I've never had anyone else. For the last 3 years, it's just been me. I'm not used to leaning on somebody." He reached out, lightly touching her elbow. "I understand. I'll be patient. Please just let me be here." They drove back to her apartment, Bella dozing off again in the back seat, lulled by the day's activities. Once parked, Jordan helped carry the groceries and laundry up the building's narrow staircase. Inside, the apartment felt slightly cramped with the addition of so many bags. Amanda directed him to set the items on her small table. Bella stirred awake, yawning, and promptly declared she was hungry. Amanda glanced at the clock, well past lunchtime. She rummaged for something quick to make, but Jordan interjected, "If you're too tired, I can order delivery." Again, that push and pull. Amanda yearned to show her independence, but the grocery run had used up what little stamina she had left for cooking. "Maybe just a simple pizza," she conceded. "Bella likes cheese." A short phone call later, Jordan joined Bella on the couch, flipping through one of the library books they'd borrowed. Amanda took a moment to put away the groceries, her mind in overdrive. She had let Jordan pay for groceries, help with laundry, and now buy them pizza. It felt oddly intimate, a sense of shared life that both comforted and scared her. Soon the pizza arrived, filling the apartment with the aroma of melted cheese. They ate around the table, Bella perched on a booster seat Amanda had scavenged from a yard sale long ago. Jordan listened intently to Bella's babbling about dragons, crayons, and new library books. Amanda watched him, noting how carefully he attended to every syllable that left Bella's lips. He answered each question with sincerity. The child was enthralled. When the plates were cleared and Bella toddled off to rummage in her toy box, Amanda faced Jordan. They stood in the cramped kitchen, the sink piled with a few dishes. A hush filled the space, the rain outside reduced to a faint drizzle. "Thank you," Amanda said quietly, mustering the courage to meet his gaze. "For today, and for not making me feel lesser because of our situation." His eyes softened. "I admire what you've done, Amanda. You've built a life for Bella on your own. I just want to fit into it now, in any way you'll allow." Those words, so simple yet so heartfelt, unmoored her. She felt tears threaten, but she swallowed them back. "It's going to take time," she whispered, "but I see how you are with her. And it—" She trailed off, voice choked. Jordan gently reached for her hand. At that moment, Bella called from the living room, "Mommy, can we color together?" The interruption broke the tender moment. Amanda pulled away, blinking back the warmth in her eyes. She answered Bella, but before going to the child, she cast Jordan a brief glance. "Maybe you can stay a bit longer, if you want to color with her?" His returning smile was gentle, almost disbelieving at how far they'd come in a short span. "I'd love to." And so the three of them gathered on the living room floor, Bella handing out crayons and sheets of paper. Amanda found herself crouched by Jordan, the child on his other side, as they scribbled silly pictures of dragons and rainbows. Each shape or swirl of color felt like another step in forging a connection that once seemed impossible. Outside, the rain drummed softly, as if providing a steady, comforting soundtrack to this moment of fragile peace. And Amanda, despite the remnants of hurt and skepticism she carried, let herself breathe into the warmth of having Jordan by their side, if only for one rainy Sunday afternoon. Monday came with a bright sunrise that betrayed how tired Amanda felt. She'd barely slept, her mind consumed with the events of Sunday. Jordan's unexpected visit to the laundromat, the relaxed coloring session with Bella, and the peculiar sense of closeness she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. Now, with her uniform freshly laundered, thanks to that weekend washing spree, she finished tying her hair into a neat bun and prepared for another workday at the Watermark Hotel. "Mommy, do I get to see Daddy after school?" Bella asked through a mouthful of cereal. She sat perched on a wobbling chair in the cramped kitchen, her face full of hope. Amanda paused, hand gripping the back of another chair. Bella's preschool ran in half-day sessions, and once again, Amanda would have to scramble to ensure someone could watch her after class until Amanda's shift ended. But Bella's question dredged up that old, uneasy swirl in Amanda's chest, fear of letting her daughter's expectations soar too high. "I'm not sure," she answered, forcing gentleness in her voice. "Daddy has work to do, and Mommy has work too. But we'll see, okay?" Bella's eyes clouded with mild disappointment, but she nodded and went back to her cereal. Amanda let out a slow breath. She had to keep boundaries until she and Jordan figured out a stable arrangement. Still, the look on Bella's face tugged at her heart. A knock sounded at the apartment door just as Amanda finished gathering her belongings. She opened it to find Mrs. Graves, the neighbor who often helped with babysitting. The elderly woman smiled warmly. "Ready for school, young lady?" she asked Bella. "I guess," Bella sighed, clearly hoping for a more exciting day. Amanda gave Mrs. Graves a grateful nod. "Thanks for dropping her off at preschool again. I can't afford to be late." The older woman waved off the thanks, taking Bella's hand gently. Amanda pressed a quick kiss to Bella's forehead, reminding her to be good. "I'll pick you up after class," Mrs. Graves told Bella. "Then we'll wait for your mommy, or see if she has new instructions." Amanda tried to ignore the pang of guilt. She hated the constant patchwork of childcare, but she had no choice. At least Bella seemed happy enough with Mrs. Graves, who doted on her like a grandmother. After a swift goodbye, Amanda darted down the stairs to catch the bus. The hotel's marble lobby bustled with Monday activity, guests checking out after weekend stays, luggage rolling across polished floors. Amanda rushed to the staff area, clocked in, and grabbed her housekeeping cart. She scanned the day's assignments. Typical rooms, a few checkouts, nothing too unusual. Halfway through her shift, a text vibrated in her apron pocket. She saw Jordan's name flash on the screen, heart flipping in her chest. Ducking into an empty corridor, she checked it. "Morning, Amanda. Hope you and Bella had a good start to your day. If you need any help picking her up, let me know." I'm in meetings, but I can step out if necessary. She inhaled, her initial instinct to snap back that she managed fine for 3 years. But she reminded herself of the vow to be open, at least somewhat. So she typed, "We're okay for now. Bella's with Mrs. Graves. Thanks for offering." Then she slid the phone back into her pocket, trying not to overthink the warmth that spread in her chest. The rest of the morning passed in a mundane flurry, vacuuming, wiping bathroom fixtures, checking mini bars. Her co-workers who had heard bits and pieces about Jordan gave her subtle glances, but no one asked openly. She was relieved. The last thing she wanted was gossip about her personal life. Near noon, Amanda ducked into a small staff break room to grab a quick sandwich from the vending machine. She took a seat at a corner table, unwrapping the meager lunch. The room buzzed with conversation from other housekeepers. She kept her head down, not eager to join. But a friendly face, Blanca, one of her fellow staff members, slid into the seat across from her. "Hey, Amanda," she said, voice hushed. "How's your daughter? I heard rumors that a VIP was your friend?" She looked genuinely curious, not malicious. Amanda paused mid-bite. She swallowed, choosing words carefully. "Bella's good, and he's an old acquaintance. Just visiting, that's all." Blanca nodded sympathetically. "That's good. If he's important, maybe he can help you." Her tone held no judgment, only kindness. "I know how hard it is with a child. My sister helps me sometimes. But even so—" Amanda relaxed, flashing a small smile. "He's trying to. It's complicated, but thanks for caring." She felt oddly grateful for Blanca's sincerity. After so many solitary years, the idea that people might root for her was new and comforting. Before she could elaborate, the break ended. She returned to her shift, leaving behind the lingering sense of camaraderie. The day slogged by with typical challenges. Guests who left rooms in disarray, a shortness of clean towels that forced her to scrounge from multiple supply closets. By late afternoon, her feet ached and she ached to be home with Bella. Around 4 p.m., Mr. Rowan, the manager, caught her in the hallway. "Ms. Delgado," he began, scanning his clipboard. "Mr. Miles asked if you could deliver fresh towels to the presidential suite. He specifically requested you." His eyebrows rose, indicating mild surprise at the request. A jolt pulsed through Amanda. Jordan was in the presidential suite again. The memory of him first encountering Bella there, learning the truth, flashed across her mind. She steadied herself. "Understood. I'll get them," she replied, trying to keep her voice even. Gathering plush towels from the storeroom, she took the staff elevator up to the top floor. The corridor felt eerily familiar, its opulence standing in stark contrast to her daily routine. She reached the suite's door, knocking timidly. A moment later, it swung open, revealing Jordan in a crisp shirt and dress pants, tie loosened as though he'd just finished a long meeting. "Hey," he greeted with a smile that reached his eyes. "Come in." She hesitated, heart thumping. "I'm just here to deliver towels," she said quietly, stepping inside. The suite was still immaculate, the large windows overlooking the city skyline. In the sitting area, a man in a tailored suit typed into a laptop, likely one of Jordan's associates. He glanced up briefly, then returned his attention to the screen. Jordan guided her away from the living space toward a smaller lounge area just off the main room, presumably to speak privately. "I needed a break from these negotiations," he murmured, voice low. "I'm sorry if calling you up here caused trouble, but I really wanted to see how your day was going." Amanda's cheeks warmed. She set the stack of towels on a nearby table. "You could have just texted," she pointed out, though not unkindly. He nodded, sliding his hands into his pockets. "I know, but you're in the building and, well, I guess I hoped I might see you, at least for a minute." She recalled the manager's suspicious glance. The staff would definitely whisper about why Jordan insisted on her, but she suppressed the worry. His concern for her well-being was strangely disarming. "I'm okay," she answered. "It's just a typical day, lots of cleaning, you know, Bella's in preschool, then with Mrs. Graves. Jordan exhaled. Good. I was worried you might be scrambling without time for errands, or... He trailed off, rummaging for words. I know it's silly, but I keep thinking I should be doing more. That's all. Warmth flitted through Amanda, though she tried to keep her composure. You're already doing a lot, she said softly, catching his gaze. But let's not get me in trouble. She gestured to the door leading back to the suite's main area. I should go soon. The manager will notice if I'm gone too long. Reluctance flickered in Jordan's eyes. Of course, he said. He lowered his voice even further. Would you consider having dinner with me tonight, you and Bella? Somewhere simple. It doesn't have to be fancy. Amanda hesitated, glancing at her watch. It was nearly 4:15. Her shift ended at 5. Then she'd normally take the bus home, picking up Bella around 5:30. A dinner out was tempting. But would it push Bella's bedtime too late? Could she handle more stares if they ventured into a restaurant in her uniform? His expression was earnest, almost pleading. We can do takeout, or come back here if that's easier. I just want to see you both again tonight, if that's not too much. Let me think, she replied, feeling the tug in her chest. She wanted to say yes. Another part of her worried about letting him weave so effortlessly into their everyday life. I'll text you after I pick her up, okay? Jordan nodded, some relief in his posture. Thank you. Then, as if sensing he should let her go, he stepped aside. I'll be waiting to hear from you. She forced a small smile and grabbed the empty laundry bag she used to store old towels, setting it on her cart. All right, take care, Jordan. Without another glance, she stepped out, the door clicking softly behind her. Heading down the corridor, her pulse thrummed. The casual warmth between them, the unspoken longing in his eyes. She felt it all, and the question that kept echoing was, how far was she willing to let this go? After finishing her shift, Amanda slipped outside, the early evening light casting long shadows across the sidewalk. The bus arrived on schedule, and she dozed briefly during the ride, worn from the day's physical work and emotional tumult. Once she reached home, she picked up Bella from Mrs. Graves, who commented that Bella had seemed particularly chatty about Daddy all afternoon. Amanda tried not to sigh, simply thanking the neighbor with a smile. Inside their apartment, Bella flopped onto the couch, rummaging through her little backpack. Amanda set her keys on the rickety table, glancing at the phone in her hand. Should she text Jordan now? Her stomach fluttered. The rational side said, You're exhausted. Bella's routine might be disrupted. You barely know if you can trust him fully. But the emotional side recalled how Bella's face glowed at the mention of him, how Jordan had gently folded her laundry, how he softened every time Bella called him Daddy. Bella climbed off the couch and tugged at Amanda's pant leg. Mommy, are we going to see Daddy? She asked, eyes hopeful. Amanda crouched down, meeting Bella's gaze. You really want to? She asked quietly. The child nodded, a wide grin forming. Then let's do it, Amanda said, her decision made by Bella's unfiltered excitement. She typed a quick message. Hey, if you're still free, dinner might be okay. Bella wants to see you. Jordan's reply came almost instantly. I'm free. Where would be easiest? Amanda glanced around their small space. She spotted the battered toy chest in the corner, the mismatched chairs. Maybe it'd be simpler to just let Jordan come here. But would that feel too intimate? Then again, going to a restaurant might be jarring for Bella. Maybe come here, but something simple, she typed. We can order takeout. Bella can show you her toys. She hit send, pulse racing. His reply, I'd love that. I'll bring something for dinner. Just let me know what you both want. Amanda asked Bella for ideas, but the child only said pizza, like always. Amanda half laughed. She texted Jordan that pizza was fine, hoping it wasn't too repetitive. In truth, Bella loved pizza, and it was easy. Jordan confirmed he'd arrive in about 40 minutes. While Bella busied herself with coloring, Amanda dashed to freshen the living room. She gathered stray crayons, wiped crumbs from the table, and changed into a comfortable pair of jeans and a loose sweater. She tried to ignore the flutter in her stomach. This was just dinner. No big deal, right? The knock at the door came right on time. Amanda opened it to see Jordan holding a large pizza box in one hand and a small bag in the other. He offered a warm smile, stepping inside. The bag carried salad, soda, and maybe a dessert, she presumed. Bella rushed over, jumping eagerly. "Daddy's here!" she exclaimed, hugging his leg. Jordan set the food on the table and bent to scoop Bella up in a gentle embrace. Amanda helped arrange plates and cups. The scene felt strangely domestic. The three of them sat at her small table, the overhead light flickering slightly. Bella tore into the pizza with gusto. Jordan popped open a bottle of juice for the child, then poured soda for himself and Amanda. They chatted about Bella's preschool day. She recounted painting pictures of butterflies, singing a song about the alphabet. Jordan listened as though hearing the greatest story ever told. Amanda caught herself smiling at the pure delight on his face. "Do you like your teacher?" he asked Bella, who nodded fervently. "That's good. Maybe I can meet her sometime." Amanda's heart clenched. The thought of Jordan stepping into Bella's preschool world was nerve-wracking, yet she recognized his desire to be involved. She nodded slowly, wiping a bit of sauce from Bella's cheek. "We'll see," she said, not committing but not dismissing the idea either. As they finished eating, Bella grew restless, so Jordan joined her on the floor, building a tower from colored blocks. Amanda watched quietly from the couch. The child's laughter echoed against the walls. Then Jordan glanced up, catching Amanda's eye. A tender moment passed, their gazes locked with the weight of unspoken feelings. He turned back to Bella, helping her stack another block. "Careful now," he teased. "Don't let it topple." It didn't take long for Bella's stamina to wane. After a big dinner and a busy day, her eyes drooped. Amanda scooped her up, carrying her to the bedroom for a quick change into pajamas. Jordan waited in the living room, tidying the leftover pizza boxes. The hush of the moment made Amanda realize how seamlessly he'd settled in. She emerged from the bedroom, door left ajar so she could hear if Bella woke. "She's out," Amanda reported softly. Jordan finished placing the boxes by the trash. "Thanks for tonight," he said, voice equally hushed. "It was nice to be here, to see her like this." Amanda folded her arms, leaning against the kitchen doorway. "She's grown attached to you so quickly," she admitted. "I never thought it would happen like this." His face held a gentle wistfulness. "I'm grateful. I know I missed so much, but every moment with her now feels like a gift." He stepped closer, leaving only a few feet between them. "And with you as well." Her pulse fluttered, memories of their old romance flooding back. She forced a steady breath. "One step at a time, Jordan. I'm still uncertain about everything." "I understand," he said softly. Silence weighed between them, tinged with possibilities. Before the tension became overwhelming, Amanda cleared her throat, turning to check the time on a small wall clock. "It's getting late. You probably have an early start tomorrow." He nodded, though reluctance glimmered in his eyes. "Yeah, more meetings." He paused. "If Bella wants, maybe I can come by tomorrow evening, or we could plan something for later in the week. I leave for London soon, but I want to see you both as much as possible until then." Amanda's heart sank at the mention of his departure, even if it was temporary. But she merely offered a tentative smile. "We'll see. Text me tomorrow. We'll figure it out." He drew a slow breath as though steeling himself. "All right. I'll say goodnight then." She followed him to the door, the small apartment feeling suddenly too quiet. He paused as if wanting to do more than offer a farewell handshake or a polite nod, maybe a hug or something deeper, but her guarded eyes must have warned him to proceed carefully. He leaned in, brushing a gentle kiss on her cheek. The warmth of his breath sent a faint shiver through her. "Good night," he murmured, stepping back. She managed a soft, "Good night," and with that, he slipped out into the hallway. The door clicked shut, leaving Amanda alone in her dim living room, heart thumping. She gingerly touched her cheek where his lips had grazed. Something long buried stirred within her. Exhaling a trembling breath, she switched off the overhead light, letting the quiet darkness envelop her. In the room behind her, Bella slept soundly, secure in her dreams. And for Amanda, uncertain though she was, the lines of her life were shifting, making room for a man who once vanished, but now pledged to stay. She could only hope, as she crawled into bed, that this fragile rebuilding wouldn't shatter under the weight of reality. The future lay open, like an uncharted map with half-erased borders, and as she drifted into a restless sleep, she found a small flicker of hope glowing in the center of all her fears. Morning light filtered through the thin curtains in Amanda's apartment, illuminating a quiet scene that felt almost serene. Bella was curled up on the couch in her pajamas, humming softly to herself as she flipped through a picture book. Amanda, meanwhile, stood by the kitchen sink, anxiously checking her phone. She told herself it was just a force of habit, but deep down she was waiting for a message from Jordan. He'd left late last night, and though there was no particular reason to expect an early text, she found herself hoping anyway. She needed to get ready for another busy day. Bella off to preschool, Amanda off to the hotel for her shift, but there was a tension in the air, a sense that her routine was no longer quite as predictable. It all revolved around the man who had re-entered her life so unexpectedly. Part of her was excited, another part terrified. When she glanced at Bella, the child lifted her eyes from the book. "Mommy, is Daddy coming over again?" Bella's voice was hopeful yet steady, as though she was already adjusting to the new normal of having a father in her life. Amanda forced a calm smile. "Maybe soon, love," she said, trying not to let her own uncertainty slip through. "He has a lot of meetings, remember?" Bella gave a small shrug, as if this were a mild disappointment but nothing devastating. "That's okay. He works a lot," she said matter-of-factly. Then she wrinkled her nose. "I hope he doesn't forget me when he's busy." A pang shot through Amanda's chest. "He won't forget you," she promised, though that old fear twisted inside her. She collected Bella's backpack, double-checked that she had everything for preschool, extra clothes, snack, the usual. "Come on, we should go. Mrs. Graves is waiting outside to walk with us." Bella jumped off the couch, slipping on shoes that blinked with each step, and followed Amanda into the hallway. Sure enough, the kindly neighbor stood at the foot of the stairs, offering a quick greeting before they all walked toward the bus stop together. The crisp morning air smelled faintly of last night's rain. When they reached the bus, Bella pressed close to Amanda, clearly a bit sleepy. Mrs. Graves gave Amanda a gentle smile. "I'll handle dropping her at preschool, dear," she assured. "You just focus on your work. And don't worry, I'll ask if she needs anything." Amanda nodded gratefully. Though it stung her pride that she needed so much help, she was thankful for a supportive neighbor. She gave Bella a quick hug, whispering, "Be good. I love you." The child yawned and nodded. Then, with a wave, Amanda hopped off to catch the connecting bus to the hotel. She arrived at the Watermark Hotel right on time, tying her hair in a quick bun before clocking in. After retrieving her cleaning cart, she scanned the assignment sheet pinned to the staff notice board. A line of scribbled notes from the head housekeeper indicated a new set of rooms that needed quick turnover. Amanda sighed inwardly. Mondays were always busy, but it looked like this entire week would be hectic. She didn't see any mention of the presidential suite. Maybe Jordan wouldn't be requesting her presence so overtly again, especially if he'd met the manager's raised eyebrows. Halfway through the morning, while cleaning a suite on the 9th floor, Amanda's phone vibrated in her apron pocket. She quickly set aside her cleaning rag and checked it. A text from Jordan. "Morning. Hope Bella got off to school fine. I'm tied up today but thinking of you two. Maybe I can call later if you're free." She felt an involuntary smile tug at her lips. She typed back, "All good here. Busy shift, but you can call around dinner time. Bella would love to hear your voice." Then she slipped the phone away, ignoring the small voice in her head that chided her for being too eager. A moment later, it buzzed again. "Great! I'll make time. Have a good day at work." She stared at the short exchange, letting her mind drift to the possibility of them chatting more openly, maybe even putting Bella on the phone so she could babble about preschool. The thought warmed Amanda. She tucked the phone back and resumed her tasks with renewed energy, ignoring the endless swirl of vacuuming, dusting, and scrubbing. But as the day wore on, a quiet tension settled in her chest. Jordan had mentioned he'd be leaving soon for London, could be within days. How would Bella handle that sudden absence? How would Amanda? Her eyes strayed to the clock repeatedly, mind already picturing the conversation she'd have to have with Bella about Daddy traveling far away. By the time she clocked out, her back and arms ached, and her heart felt heavy with worries. She hopped on the bus to pick up Bella, practicing in her mind how to broach the topic of Jordan's trip without letting the child's hopes crumble. She reached Mrs. Graves's apartment at the usual time. Bella opened the door, bright-eyed, with a drawing clutched in her hand. "Mommy, I made this," she said, thrusting the paper forward. It showed 3 stick figures, Amanda, Bella, and a taller figure presumably wearing a tie, Jordan. They stood under a big yellow sun, all holding hands. Amanda's chest constricted at the sight. "It's beautiful," she said softly. Then she thanked Mrs. Graves for babysitting again and led Bella upstairs. Once inside their apartment, Bella chattered about her day, how she traced letters, sang a rainbow song, and tried to teach her classmate Timmy how to color dragons. Amanda listened, forcing a cheerful nod, but her mind kept drifting back to Jordan's impending departure. Dinner was a simple affair, just the leftover spaghetti Amanda had made the previous night. Bella asked if Jordan was coming, and Amanda explained that he was busy but might call later. The child accepted it, though Amanda could sense a subtle disappointment in her eyes. Night fell, and around 7, Amanda's phone buzzed. Bella perked up, hoping. Sure enough, the caller ID read Jordan. Amanda answered, putting the call on speaker so Bella could hear. "Hi, you two," Jordan's voice came through, a bit muffled by distance. "How was your day?" Bella immediately launched into an animated account of her morning, describing the art project and new songs. Amanda listened quietly, smiling at how Jordan responded with genuine enthusiasm. After a few minutes, Bella got fidgety and wandered off to find a coloring book, leaving Amanda alone with the phone. "Thanks for letting me talk to her," Jordan said gently. "I miss you both. Feels strange to say, but I do." Amanda's breath caught. In the small living room, the only light came from a floor lamp that illuminated Bella's scribbled drawings scattered on the table. "We miss you too," she admitted softly, surprising herself with the sincerity of it. He hesitated. "Amanda, I have to tell you something," he said, voice cautious. "I'm flying to London at the end of the week. My schedule's shifting faster than I expected. There's a deal I have to finalize in person." She nodded, though he couldn't see it. "How long will you be gone?" "I'm not entirely sure," he confessed. "A couple weeks, maybe a month if complications arise. After that, I plan to come back here, for good, or at least for a longer stay. But in the meantime, I don't want Bella thinking I disappeared." Amanda's heart twisted. "She won't," she said. "I'll make sure she understands you're traveling for work, not leaving forever." The phrase stung her. She recalled the first time he left, never returning. That wound still ached. "I appreciate that," he murmured, remorse seeping into his tone. "And I'll call often, I promise. I'll do video chats if you'll let me. Whatever it takes." Amanda swallowed, pressing her fingers to her forehead. She'd been anticipating this conversation, but hearing it out loud made it feel painfully real. "We'll manage," she said, trying to sound stronger than she felt. When exactly do you fly out? Friday morning, Jordan replied. I want to see you both as much as possible until then. Bella reappeared in the doorway, crayons in hand, catching the tail end of the conversation. Daddy's leaving? She piped up, frowning. Amanda locked eyes with her daughter. Yes, sweetie, but just for a little while. He's coming back. Jordan, overhearing, spoke gently through the phone. Bella, I have to get on an airplane for work, but I'll talk to you on the phone and on the computer, okay? Then I'll come back as soon as I can. Bella's brow furrowed with all the gravity a 3-year-old could muster. Promise? She asked, hugging her stuffed rabbit. Promise, Jordan answered without hesitation. The conversation wrapped up shortly after with Jordan wishing them both good night. Bella sat in her mother's lap, fiddling with a purple crayon. Is he really coming back? She asked in a small voice. Amanda hugged her child close. He will, she said, injecting confidence into her tone. He cares about us, Bella. He's just doing his job. The child nodded but said nothing more, returning to her coloring book. Amanda's heart was heavy, though. She recognized the fear that flickered in Bella's gaze, the worry that Daddy might not keep his word. Amanda couldn't entirely banish that same doubt from her own mind. The week that followed felt like a whirlwind. Jordan managed to visit almost every evening, sometimes just for a quick dinner or a half-hour chat before Bella's bedtime. They soaked up these final days of his presence like desert travelers savoring rare rain. Bella insisted on showing him her new art projects, the games she played, even her bedtime routine. Amanda hovered, half entranced by seeing Jordan so involved, half bracing herself for the goodbye that loomed. On Thursday night, less than 12 hours before his flight, Jordan arrived with a small suitcase in tow. He and Amanda had decided they'd share one last meal at her place to keep Bella's environment calm. The child pranced about, wearing her favorite shirt with sparkly hearts, wanting to show off for Daddy. Jordan, looking tired from back-to-back meetings, still managed a radiant smile each time Bella tugged his sleeve. They ate quietly, the conversation subdued, everyone acutely aware of the ticking clock. After the meal, Bella climbed into Jordan's lap, ignoring the adult tension. Can I give you my picture so you can take it on the plane? She asked. Jordan's breath caught, eyes softening. Of course, Princess. I'll keep it safe, I promise. Bella darted off to fetch the drawing from the bedroom, the 3 stick figures under the yellow sun. Amanda watched from the kitchen doorway, chest tight with emotion. She remembered nights crying alone, cursing Jordan's absence. Now he was here, about to leave again, but this time with every intention of returning. The difference felt monumental, and yet the ache remained. When bedtime approached, Bella insisted Jordan read her a story, something about a magical meadow and talking birds. Amanda stood near the bedroom door, arms crossed, absorbing the image of father and child snuggled on the small bed. Bella clung to Jordan's arm, her voice sleepy as the story concluded. She blinked heavily, drifting off right there. Jordan carefully extracted himself, pressing a soft kiss to Bella's forehead. He turned off the small bedside lamp, stepping back into the living room. Amanda followed, shutting the door part way. They were alone now, in the dimly lit space that seemed to echo with unspoken words. Neither spoke for a long moment. Then Jordan eased onto the couch, gesturing for Amanda to sit beside him. She did so, heart hammering. Thank you, he said quietly, for letting me be with her so much this week. It means the world. Amanda nodded, eyes fixed on a small crack in the wall. She'll miss you, she whispered. He swallowed. I'll miss her more than I can say. Then he hesitated, shifting closer. Amanda, I'll miss you too. Her pulse fluttered. She turned her head to meet his gaze. In the dim light, his eyes were raw with sincerity. I'll be back, he repeated, as though trying to convince her as well as himself. And maybe when I return we can talk about the future more seriously, about building something stable for Bella and for us. Her throat tightened at the idea of us. So much unsaid, so many lingering fears, but she also felt a flicker of hope. "We'll see," she murmured, letting him see her ambivalence. "But yes, we can talk." He reached for her hand, gently intertwining his fingers with hers. The warmth of that contact spoke volumes. They stayed like that for a moment, the quiet hum of city traffic drifting through the window. Amanda's chest felt both heavy and light at once, a swirl of contradictions that was becoming all too familiar. Finally, Jordan stood, smoothing his jacket. "My flight's early," he said, voice hushed. "I should go so I can pack the last of my things at the hotel. Will you walk me to the door?" She rose, letting him keep hold of her hand. At the doorway, he set down the suitcase to wrap both arms around her in a gentle hug. She tensed briefly, then let herself sink into the embrace, inhaling the faint scent of his cologne. It felt heartbreakingly natural. "Thank you for everything," he whispered near her ear. "I promise I won't be gone long. Tell Bella I love her, over and over. And you too, Amanda. You're extraordinary." Her eyes stung with unshed tears. She managed a nod, her voice a near whisper. "Safe flight." With that, Jordan picked up his suitcase and slipped out. The door closed, leaving Amanda pressed against the worn frame, listening as his footsteps retreated down the hallway. Inside the bedroom, Bella slept soundly, unaware that by the time she awoke, her father would be somewhere in the sky, carrying her drawing in his bag and a promise on his lips. Amanda exhaled a trembling breath. She clicked off the living room lamp, letting darkness settle around her. No matter how much she yearned to believe in a future where Jordan truly stayed, the memories of the past still haunted her. Yet, in that shadowy stillness, she allowed herself a single fragile thought. Maybe this time, things would be different. The next morning dawned under a quiet hush in Amanda's apartment. She awoke earlier than usual, haunted by dreams of Jordan's departure. For a moment she lay still, staring at the ceiling, letting reality settle in. He'd be on a plane by now, likely miles above the earth, heading to London. Bella, curled on the other side of the bed, slept soundly, one arm wrapped around her stuffed rabbit. Amanda gently slipped out of bed, wincing as the old floorboards creaked beneath her feet. Tiptoeing into the kitchen, she flicked on the light. The small room felt emptier than usual. A silly thought, but she couldn't shake the sensation. She started the coffee pot, watching as the dark liquid dripped slowly, filling the apartment with a comforting aroma. Bella soon wandered in, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Morning, sweet pea," Amanda greeted, mustering a smile. Bella yawned. "Is Daddy gone now?" she asked, her childish bluntness hitting Amanda like a punch. She set down her mug, kneeling to meet Bella's gaze. "Yes," she said gently. "He had to leave very early this morning, but he'll call, okay? And he promised he'll come back." Bella's bottom lip trembled a moment, then she nodded as though steeling herself. "Okay, I drew him another picture," she said, "for when he calls on the computer." Amanda ruffled Bella's hair. "We can show him as soon as he sets up a video call," she said softly, warmed by Bella's resilience. "He'll love it." The morning routine continued with a subdued air. Bella dressed in her preschool clothes, while Amanda checked her phone compulsively for any message from Jordan. Nothing yet. It made sense. He'd be mid-flight or possibly just landing. Still, she felt a small knot of anxiety. At work, Amanda lost herself in the usual chores, changing linens, cleaning bathrooms, vacuuming hallways. Her co-workers were busy with their own tasks, so there was little time for conversation. Now and then she caught a glimpse of a tall figure in a nice suit and felt her heart lurch, only to realize it was a stranger. She chastised herself for the flicker of disappointment. He was gone for now. It was something she needed to accept. Days passed in a new, steadier rhythm. Without Jordan physically in town, life reverted to something closer to Amanda's old routine, taking Bella to preschool, working her shift at the hotel, returning home to prepare dinner. the humdrum cycle she'd grown accustomed to. The difference now was Bella's occasional question about Daddy. "Has he called yet? Did he get my picture?" Amanda patiently explained each time that the distance and time difference made calls unpredictable. Finally, on a bright afternoon a few days later, a notification pinged Amanda's phone while she was at home folding laundry. She saw Jordan's name flash on the screen in the form of a video call. Heart thumping, she ushered Bella over. Accepting the call, she propped the phone on a small stand so they could both see. The screen flickered, then Jordan's face appeared, slightly pixelated but unmistakably him. He sat in what looked like a hotel room, modern furnishings behind him. He gave a broad smile at the sight of Bella squealing and waving. "Hey, princess, hey, Amanda," he greeted. Bella practically climbed onto the table, trying to get closer. "Daddy, I miss you," she declared, lips in a pout. "When are you coming back?" Jordan's expression softened, lines of fatigue etched beneath his eyes. "I miss you too," he said, "so much. I don't know exactly when, but I'm doing everything I can to wrap things up quickly. How are you? How's preschool?" Bella launched into a breathless monologue about her latest finger-painting project, the new song she learned, and the cool stickers her teacher handed out. Amanda hovered in the background, watching Jordan's face light up with genuine delight at every detail Bella recounted. The tension that had gripped Amanda eased slightly. No matter how far he was clearly staying connected. Eventually, Bella ran out of steam and trotted off to find the picture she'd drawn. Jordan seized the brief lull to speak directly to Amanda. "How are you holding up?" he asked, voice laced with concern. "Work, Bella. Everything okay?" She nodded. "We're okay," she replied, realizing how inadequate the word okay felt. She wanted to say more, how her chest tightened whenever Bella asked about him, how the nights felt longer, but she kept it simple. Just the usual daily challenges. He studied her through the screen, worry evident. "If you need anything at all, financial help, a babysitter, or just someone to talk to, I'm here. I can arrange things, even from here. I don't want you struggling." A pang of defensiveness flickered. "We're managing," she said, forcing lightness into her tone. "But I appreciate the offer." She didn't want to shut him out, yet old habits of independence were hard to break. Their conversation turned to scheduling more calls, discussing Bella's next preschool event and Jordan's workload in London. Despite the awkwardness of talking through a device, Amanda felt a gentle warmth spreading inside her. Every reassurance Jordan gave, every plan he made to return, chipped away a bit more at her lingering doubt. Bella returned, thrusting her picture toward the camera. "See, Daddy? It's you and me and Mommy at the park." She pressed the paper so close to the phone's camera that all Jordan would see was a blur of color. He chuckled. "That's awesome, sweetheart. Will you save it for me until I come home?" Bella said, nodding vigorously. After a few more minutes, the call ended. Jordan promised to reach out again soon, and Bella beamed with the assurance that Daddy was still thinking of them. When the screen went dark, Amanda stared at her reflection in the blackness of the phone. A heavy swirl of emotions settled in her chest. If only he could truly be here, not just a face on a screen. That night, after tucking Bella in, she lingered on the couch, phone in hand. She reread Jordan's texts, short messages brimming with sincerity. She typed a quick message. "We miss you, but we're fine. Bella loved talking to you today. Take care of yourself." Then pressed send. No immediate reply. Likely he was asleep, given the time difference. The following days fell into a steady pattern. Phone calls or video chats every other day, Bella's squeals of delight whenever Jordan answered, Amanda's cautious optimism blooming with each conversation. Yet, as a week turned into 2, she grew restless. Jordan kept saying he was making progress but didn't have a firm date for his return. And Bella's questions about Daddy multiplied. One evening, Bella asked, "Does Daddy like living in that hotel room? Isn't he lonely there?" Amanda's throat tightened. She suspected Jordan was lonely too, but she kept the answer simple. "He's just working, baby. But yes, it's probably not as nice as being here." Bella nodded solemnly. "I want him to come live with us," she said. Amanda's heart lurched. "He might one day," she replied carefully, refusing to make empty promises. The idea of Jordan moving in, the logistics alone were dizzying, let alone the emotional complexities. Still, the spark of possibility lingered. When Jordan called next, Bella was already asleep. Amanda answered quietly, retreating to the bedroom for privacy. Jordan looked exhausted, tie undone, the lines of stress on his face more pronounced than before. Despite that, his eyes lit up seeing her. "Hey," he said softly. "How was your day?" "Not bad," she answered, settling on the bed with her phone propped against a pillow. "Bella's asleep or she'd be here chatting your ear off." A flicker of disappointment crossed his face. "I missed that chatter, honestly," he murmured. Then he hesitated. "Amanda, there's something I need to discuss with you. The contract negotiation here is complicated. I might need another 2 weeks." She bit her lip. "I see," she said, trying to hide the pinch of hurt in her voice. "Bella's been asking a lot about you. She's worried you won't come back." Agony flashed in his eyes. "I'm so sorry," he said, barely above a whisper. "This is the last time I'll be gone so long, I swear. Once these deals close, I can set up a regional office near you. I just need to finalize everything here. Then I can focus on what matters. Family." Amanda clutched the phone tighter. Family. The word resonated, stirring equal parts, longing and fear. She closed her eyes, exhaling slowly. "All right," she said finally. "We'll be waiting." He nodded. "Thank you. And about Bella's concerns? Maybe we can do more video calls? I can read her a bedtime story over the phone, show her some of London's sights, anything to reassure her." "That might help," Amanda admitted, summoning a half-smile. She loves bedtime stories, especially about dragons and magic kingdoms. Jordan's lips quirked. "I remember. I'll find something good. Is that okay with you?" She nodded, touched by his eagerness. "Yes, let's try it. She'll be thrilled." They talked a bit longer, about Bella's new obsession with a specific cartoon, about Amanda's job, no major drama, just the usual workload, and Jordan's frustration with time zones. Despite the distance, Amanda felt a closeness forming, an honesty they'd never fully shared before. It both comforted and unsettled her, reminding her that trust was a delicate thing. Before hanging up, Jordan said, "I love you, Amanda," in a quiet, earnest voice. She froze, heart pounding. They hadn't spoken those words since the distant past, back when they were young and the world seemed wide open. Saying them now, after so many years of heartbreak and separation, was jarring. She swallowed, pressing her lips together. "Take care," she replied softly, unable to form the words in return just yet. The moment hung heavy, and she ended the call, mind whirling with the weight of his confession. Did she still love him too? Over the next week, they set up a new routine. A video bedtime story for Bella once or twice weekly. Jordan would appear on the screen with a book in hand, dramatizing the voices of fairy tale creatures as Bella giggled and chimed in. Sometimes Amanda watched from behind the camera, heart aching at how sweet the scene was, wishing it wasn't limited to digital images. Bella's anxieties eased with each call, confident that Daddy hadn't forgotten her. Amanda noticed her daughter's brighter moods, the way she spoke about Jordan to her preschool friends as though he'd always been around. The transformation was heartwarming and terrifying all at once. Meanwhile, finances continued to strain Amanda. She had a steady paycheck from the hotel, but with Bella's growing needs, school supplies, clothing, occasional doctor visits, it stretched thin. Jordan repeated his offer to help, sending messages like, "Anything you need, just say so." Still, Amanda hesitated, replying with polite thanks but little acceptance. She wasn't quite ready to relinquish the independence that had defined her for so long. And yet, despite her resistance, a day came when Bella got sick, a fever that required medication, fluids, and a few days resting at home. Amanda had to take off from work, losing valuable income. Her bills piled up, and she found herself short on rent, anxiety gnawing at her. That night, as Bella finally dozed, Amanda sat at the kitchen table, sifting through overdue notices. Her phone lit up, Jordan's nightly check-in. She stared at it for a moment, exhaustion and dread overwhelming her. Then, with trembling fingers, she answered. His concerned face greeted her. "Hey, how's Bella?" "She's asleep," Amanda murmured, voice taut. "The fever's down, but the doctor said to keep her home a few more days." He exhaled. "Poor thing. Wish I could be there to help." She managed a strained smile. She'd love that. He studied her, as if sensing her tension. "Amanda, are you all right?" A knot lodged in her throat. She could lie, claim everything was fine, but she was too weary, her eyes filled with tears. "Not really," she whispered. "I'm missing shifts at work and bills are coming in. I'm short on rent this month. I'm struggling." The confession felt like ripping open an old wound. Shame burned, but also a faint relief at no longer hiding it. His expression turned grave, guilt etched in his features. "Let me help," he said urgently. "I can wire money right now. You shouldn't have to worry about this, especially while Bella's sick." She hesitated, tears blurring her vision. "I know I've resisted before, but maybe this once." Her pride battled with desperation, but the love for her child won out. "All right. Thank you." Jordan didn't press for details, as though sensing she couldn't handle a drawn-out negotiation. "Text me the amount you need," he said softly. "I'll make sure it's there. And if you need more, food, medicine, anything, please tell me. I'm serious, Amanda. I'm here for both of you." She nodded, unable to speak around the lump in her throat. They ended the call soon after, but she lingered at the table, staring at the phone, letting the tears fall silently. For so long, she'd prided herself on making it alone. Now, she was accepting help from the man she once believed had abandoned her. The complexity of it all weighed on her, yet relief began to seep in. Less than an hour later, a notification appeared on her banking app, a deposit large enough to cover her rent, and then some. She let out a shaky breath. Gratitude mingled with a sense of vulnerability she wasn't used to. After a moment, she typed a short text. "Thank you, Jordan. This means more than you know." His reply was immediate. "Anything for you and Bella. Please rest and take care of her. I'm here, even across the ocean." Amanda wiped her eyes, forcing a watery smile. Maybe, just maybe, the man Jordan had become was genuinely different from the boy who'd left her all those years ago. She knew there were no guarantees, but for the first time she allowed herself to believe that building a family with him might not be an impossible dream. Their story, still unfolding, carried them forward, one hesitant step at a time. When Bella's fever subsided and she returned to preschool, Amanda fell back into a semblance of routine, albeit with a significant shift. Knowing that Jordan had provided a financial safety net to help with the month's rent and other bills eased the tension that had weighed on her for so long. She found herself breathing a bit freer, sleeping a bit more soundly, yet she couldn't deny the nagging feeling that she was treading on unfamiliar ground. Pride and relief fought a constant battle inside her. On one hand, she wanted to prove, to herself, to everyone, that she could handle things alone. On the other, she recognized that being a single mother with limited resources wasn't sustainable without some support. And if that support came from Bella's father, a man who was striving to be present, was it really wrong to accept it? Jordan's calls and video chats continued almost daily now, Sometimes they lasted only a few minutes, a check-in about Bella's health or Amanda's day. Other times he'd read a bedtime story to Bella, theatrically changing his voice for each character, making her squeal with delight. Amanda often hovered off-screen, smiling at how Bella's eyes shone at the sight of her father. At the end of each call, Jordan would linger a moment, voice soft as he addressed Amanda directly. "I miss you," he'd say quietly. "I'm counting the days until I can come back." 2 weeks stretched into nearly 3. Jordan's negotiations in London seemed never-ending. He promised progress was being made, but obstacles arose. A hiccup with investors here, a contract revision there. Each delay gnawed at Amanda's resolve. She worried that once again life might steal Jordan away. Even Bella, who never doubted her father's devotion, would sometimes ask, "Is he coming tomorrow?" with a faint tremor in her voice. One evening, after tucking Bella into bed, Amanda sat alone on her small couch, phone in hand. She reread a text Jordan had sent earlier that day. "Should have a final deal by end of week, hoping to fly out soon after. I can't wait to see my girls." My girls. The phrase ignited a gentle warmth in her chest. With a deep breath, she typed a reply. "We're waiting. Bella drew more pictures for you. Hope you're okay over there." She pressed send, then set the phone aside, letting her thoughts wander. Could this really be their future? Having Jordan around consistently, sharing everyday life? That next morning, a flurry of events at the Watermark Hotel kept her too busy to dwell on uncertainties. A VIP from another company was arriving, which meant extra linens, extra thoroughness, extra vigilance. Amanda moved swiftly, checking the newly prepared suite. Every detail had to be perfect. She scrubbed and straightened, ignoring the dull ache in her arms and back. After lunch, she paused for a quick break in the staff lounge. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, heart jolting. Jordan was calling, not just texting. With an apologetic look to a coworker, she slipped into a corner to answer. "Hi," she greeted, trying to keep her voice low. "Everything okay?" Jordan's tone held an excitement she hadn't heard in a while. "I have news," he said, a hint of triumph beneath his fatigue. "We finalized the deal this morning. My team's booking me a flight home. If all goes well, I'll be leaving here day after tomorrow." Amanda nearly dropped her phone. "Seriously? You'll be back by the weekend?" "Yes, if I can find a good connecting flight. Possibly Saturday morning. I want to see you both the moment I land." Relief and happiness swirled through her. "Bella will be thrilled," she managed, cheeks hurting from the sudden smile. I will be too." She heard Jordan exhale, as if a weight had lifted from him. "I can't tell you how good it feels to say that. I'll text you the details as soon as I finalize them. And Amanda, thank you for believing in me." Her eyes stung. "You've proved a lot over the past weeks," she whispered. "I'm just glad this is almost over." They chatted briefly about logistics, what day, what time, whether Amanda should meet him at the airport or wait at home. In the end, they agreed she'd wait for him at her apartment with Bella, keeping things calm. After a few more words of excitement, she ended the call, heart hammering against her ribcage. 2 days. He'd be here in 2 days. Amanda finished her shift in a haze of anticipation. Each bed she made and mirror she wiped felt trivial compared to the news that Jordan would soon be stepping into her apartment, not just through a phone. By the time she clocked out, she was practically buzzing. On the bus ride home, she broke the news to Bella, who squealed loud enough to make nearby passengers glance over with smiles. "Daddy's really coming back?" the child asked, eyes wide. "Really?" "Yes, really," Amanda confirmed, amused by Bella's joyful bounce. "He might be here on Saturday." That night, they video-called Jordan again, Bella excitedly demanding details. "What time? What airplane number? Do you have to sit next to a stranger?" Jordan laughed, attempting to answer a barrage of toddler questions. Amanda watched with quiet amusement, noting the relief etched on Jordan's face. He looked worn out, dark circles under his eyes, but undeniably happy. When Friday came, Amanda couldn't concentrate on work. Fortunately, her shift ended early, leaving her time to tidy the apartment, anxious to make everything perfect for Jordan's arrival the next morning. She scrubbed the kitchen counters, rearranged Bella's toys, fluffed the old couch cushions. Bella helped in her own way, piling crayons in a neat row. "It's for Daddy," she declared proudly. That evening, Jordan called one last time from the London airport lounge. "My flight leaves in an hour," he said, voice crackling slightly. "I'll have a layover, then land in your city around 9 tomorrow morning." Amanda clutched the phone, nerves fluttering. "I'll be waiting," she whispered. Bella, already asleep, would find him there after she woke. It felt surreal, almost like a dream. They said goodnight, no goodbye, knowing the next time they spoke would be face to face. As she ended the call, a trembling excitement coursed through Amanda. She checked the time, nearly midnight. She needed rest, but adrenaline kept her awake. Finally, she forced herself to bed, though sleep came in fitful bursts. Saturday dawned bright and cool. Bella stirred early, sensing Amanda's anticipation. They ate a simple breakfast, toast and scrambled eggs, and then Bella sat by the window, as if expecting Jordan to appear on the sidewalk at any moment. Amanda kept checking her phone for updates. Nothing yet. She breathed in, trying to calm the swirl in her chest. Around 9:30, she heard footsteps on the stairs. Her pulse leapt. She swung open the door just as Jordan raised his hand to knock. His suitcase stood at his side, and a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Bella burst past Amanda, throwing herself at Jordan with a shriek of glee. He caught her, laughter spilling into the hallway. Amanda pressed a hand to her mouth, eyes brimming. Jordan's gaze met hers over Bella's shoulder. 1,000 emotions passed in that instant. Joy, relief, yearning. Wordlessly, she stepped aside so he could come in, Bella still clinging to him like a barnacle. The apartment felt charged with energy as Jordan set down his luggage. Bella dragged him to the couch, bombarding him with chatter. "You're really here? Did the plane have good snacks? Did you bring me anything?" She poked at his bags curiously. Jordan brushed her hair aside, eyes shining. "Easy, princess. One question at a time," he teased. "Yes, I'm really here. Yes, the snacks were okay. And maybe I brought you a surprise." He winked, rummaging in his duffel to pull out a small plush dragon. Bella gasped, hugging it fervently. Amanda lingered by the kitchen counter, heart thudding. Watching Jordan interact with Bella face to face, not through a screen, felt both wonderful and surreal. She cleared her throat. "Welcome back," she said softly. He gently set Bella down and stepped toward Amanda. "I'm back," he echoed. Then, without further preamble, he enveloped her in a warm hug. She stiffened briefly. Old reflex, old fears, then let herself sink against him. The familiarity of his scent, the solidness of his arms, made her eyes burn with tears she refused to shed in front of Bella. He pulled back, hands resting lightly on her shoulders. "How are you?" he asked, voice husky with emotion. She swallowed. "Better now," she admitted. "You look exhausted, though." He huffed a small laugh. "Jet lag is real, but it's worth it to be here." Then he glanced around. "Thank you for letting me stay a while. I promise I'll find my own place soon." Bella darted up, tugging Jordan's pant leg. "No! Stay here," she insisted. "We can share, Daddy." Amanda let out a soft chuckle, trying to mask the sudden wave of emotion. "We'll figure things out," she said gently. "For now, let's just settle. You need rest." Jordan inhaled, turning back to Bella. "She's right. I might take a quick nap later if that's okay." He paused, meeting Amanda's gaze. "And, Amanda, I want to talk about some things, whenever you're ready. About us, about Bella's future. But I don't want to rush you." Her heart gave a wild flutter. "We'll talk. she confirmed, voice quiet. "But first, let's just enjoy the day." And enjoy they did. Bella showed Jordan the new pictures she'd drawn and insisted he read every single library book they had. He obliged, sprawled on the couch, letting her curl by his side as he read in a soothing voice. Amanda busied herself making tea, stealing glances at the scene, warmed by how easily Jordan fit into their little home. At midday, they shared a simple meal. Bella chattered nonstop, updating Jordan on the last few weeks he'd missed. Amanda contributed here and there, explaining how Bella's fever had passed and how they coped with the finances thanks to his help. Jordan listened intently, occasionally squeezing Amanda's hand under the table in silent acknowledgement of all she'd managed. After lunch, Bella grew drowsy, a result of the excitement, so Amanda guided her to the bedroom for a quick nap. Meanwhile, Jordan finally gave in to fatigue, stretching out on the couch. Before drifting off, he reached for Amanda's hand again. "Thank you," he whispered, eyes already half closed. "I'm home." She watched him sleep, the soft rise and fall of his chest. Home. The word echoed in her mind like a promise she wasn't sure she could fully trust yet. But seeing him there, arm draped over his duffel bag as if ready to protect this new life he was claiming, chipped away at her lingering doubts. She sat on a chair opposite the couch, silent tears burning at the edges of her eyes. So much had changed, from the man who disappeared years ago to the father who fought to be present, from the lonely woman she'd become to someone daring to believe in a second chance. And now, the next chapter of their story was unfolding right in her living room. The next few days felt like a surreal blur for Amanda. Waking up to Jordan's presence in her living room, his suitcase tucked in a corner, his shoes by the door, reminded her just how much life had shifted. His return, once a distant hope, was now a fact woven into their daily existence. Bella reveled in every moment. She clamored for him to walk her to preschool, to push her on the swing at the park after class, to read bedtime stories. Jordan embraced it all wholeheartedly, his lingering jet lag overshadowed by excitement. Even Mrs. Graves, the neighbor, seemed warmed by the sight of their small, reunited family. Amanda watched from a half-step away, her heart torn between relief and a cautious edge. She couldn't forget the years of silence and hardship, the heartbreak of raising Bella alone. But seeing Jordan's consistent devotion melted some of those lingering barriers. The question was whether that last piece of fear, the worry that he might vanish again, would ever truly fade. One morning, after Bella bounced off to preschool, Amanda found Jordan in the kitchen attempting to brew coffee with her old drip pot. He glanced up, sheepish, as he pressed the on switch. "It's taking forever," he joked. "I'm used to those fancy espresso machines, I guess." She smiled. "Welcome to the real world," she teased, leaning against the counter. "It might help if you remember to put water in first." She nodded at the empty reservoir. Jordan groaned, rubbing his forehead. "Clearly I'm still not entirely recovered from traveling." He fixed the pot and set it running, then turned to Amanda. "I was thinking, I should look for an apartment or maybe a rental house nearby. Something comfortable for Bella, that is, unless you—" He trailed off, eyes flicking around the cramped kitchen. Amanda swallowed. She understood his unspoken question. Unless she wanted him here, in her apartment, for good. But they'd never discussed the possibility of truly living together again, not beyond temporary convenience. Her chest tightened with conflicting thoughts. She took a breath. "Maybe an apartment for now," she said. "I'd like us to figure out how this works day to day before making bigger decisions." Jordan nodded, not pushing. "That makes sense. I'll see what's available in the neighborhood." He paused, voice softening. "I won't lie. I'd love to be with you both constantly, but I also respect that we need to build this carefully." A faint flush colored Amanda's cheeks. She busied herself taking down 2 mismatched mugs. "Bella's happy to have you around, and so am I." she admitted quietly. But the idea of jumping straight into living under one roof? I need time. Jordan stepped closer, resting a gentle hand on her shoulder. Time. We have it now, he said, a simple statement that felt like a promise. They sipped their coffee in companionable silence, letting the sunlight spill through the window. It was a small, ordinary moment, and yet, for Amanda, it captured the fragile beauty of what they were trying to create. The weeks that followed unfolded in a steady rhythm. Jordan found a modest, furnished apartment a few blocks from Amanda's building, allowing him easy visits with Bella. He dived into local business arrangements, determined to establish a branch office that would anchor him near them long-term. Meanwhile, Amanda continued her housekeeping shifts, this time returning home without the same gnawing worry about rent or babysitting. Jordan helped pick Bella up from preschool some days, or they alternated with Mrs. Graves when schedules clashed. Their evenings together brimmed with small routines, cooking a simple dinner in Amanda's tiny kitchen, or sometimes heading to Jordan's place where he'd struggle to put together takeout meals, humorously admitting he was no gourmet chef. Bella would giggle, arms outstretched, content to swing between her parents' hands. Occasionally, Amanda caught Jordan studying her with a contemplative gaze, especially when Bella dashed off to play. One night, after Bella had fallen asleep, Amanda and Jordan sat in the soft glow of the living room lamp. He took her hand, wordlessly rubbing his thumb across her knuckles. "I love this," he murmured, eyes lingering on her face. "Just being here, together. It's something I never thought I'd have." Emotion welled in Amanda's chest. She squeezed his hand. "Me neither," she whispered. "Sometimes it still feels like a dream." Then came the day that life tested them again, but this time they faced it side by side. The Watermark Hotel abruptly announced a round of budget cuts, shifting schedules and letting go of several part-time staff. Rumors swirled that more layoffs might be coming. Amanda's heart sank. She desperately needed that job to maintain stability, still not comfortable relying fully on Jordan's financial support. Anxiety gnawed at her. When she finally told Jordan about the uncertain situation, they sat together at his small dining table, Bella playing in the adjacent room. Amanda's voice trembled. "If they cut more positions, I could be next," she said, fiddling with a napkin. "I can't lose my job, Jordan. Even if you can help, I don't want to be dependent." His expression turned serious. "We'll figure this out," he said. "If you do lose the job, I can support you until you find something else, or help you explore new options. Maybe you could go back to school or train for something you enjoy." She shook her head, the notion overwhelming. "That sounds great in theory, but I don't have the luxury to just drop everything. I have Bella to care for, rent to pay." Jordan gently covered her hand with his. "Amanda, I'm not saying you have to do it alone anymore. You have me. We can share the load." There was no pity in his tone, only a quiet determination. Tears pricked her eyes. "I know," she murmured. "I'm trying to believe that. It's hard to unlearn how I've lived for so long." He nodded in understanding. "It might take time, but we'll do it together." The next day, she braced herself, approaching Mr. Rowan, the hotel manager, to inquire about her position's security. He assured her that for now her job was safe, but the future remained uncertain. Relieved but still uneasy, Amanda returned home to a warm meal Jordan had cooked, an overcooked pasta dish that Bella found funny, but ate happily anyway. The simple sign of coming home to food waiting, courtesy of Jordan's presence, settled a deep part of Amanda's spirit she hadn't realized was so restless. Over time, Amanda found a new balance between leaning on Jordan and maintaining her independence. Bella thrived under the combined support, her little world brimming with laughter. She beamed whenever Jordan picked her up from preschool, proudly introducing him to friends as "my daddy." The staff smiled at how her once-absent father now showed up with unwavering consistency. One evening, Jordan asked Amanda to meet him at a small park near his new apartment. He'd already picked Bella up from preschool, and by the time Amanda arrived after her shift, dusk was settling in. She spotted them on a bench beneath a large oak tree, Jordan reading aloud from a children's book, Bella perched on his lap. The scene struck her, a gentle ache blossoming in her chest. She approached quietly. Jordan glanced up and smiled, his eyes alight with that familiar warmth. Bella hopped down and ran to Amanda, arms extended. "Mommy, Mommy! Daddy's reading about a dragon who can't fly!" she exclaimed. Amanda ruffled Bella's hair. "Sounds like something you'd love." She turned to Jordan, who stood, offering her a seat on the bench. Once they settled, Bella curled on Amanda's other side. Jordan closed the book, tucking it away. "I actually wanted a chance to talk without too many distractions," he said, voice tentative. "Bella can hear too. It's partly about her." Amanda's pulse skipped. She nodded, hugging Bella a bit tighter. "Okay." Jordan inhaled, glancing at the child. "Bella, do you like having Mommy and Daddy together a lot?" Bella nodded vigorously. "Yes, I want that forever." She wrinkled her nose. "No more flying away." Jordan's jaw tightened, emotion flickering in his gaze. "Right, no more flying away," he agreed, shifting his focus to Amanda. "These last weeks I've realized I don't ever want to be far from you both. So, I was thinking we could talk about making a real home together. Whether that means you move into my place or we find somewhere bigger that suits all our needs. I'm open, but I want us to be a family under one roof." Amanda's breath caught. She looked down at Bella, who stared back with hopeful eyes. The magnitude of the decision loomed. "Jordan," she began, heart pounding, "that's a big step." He reached out, gently taking her free hand. "I know, but I'm not going anywhere. I want Bella to see that. And for you, I want you to trust it too." He swallowed, voice trembling with sincerity. "I'm not proposing marriage on the spot, but I need you to know that's where my heart is heading. I love you, Amanda. I love our daughter. And I want a life together." A wave of warmth and fear surged in Amanda's chest. She recalled the heartbreak of his disappearance years ago, the struggle she'd faced alone. Yet here he was, every day proving his commitment. She studied Bella's bright expression, her child's longing for stability, for a father who stayed, a father who truly wanted them both. Slowly, Amanda nodded, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. I want that too," she said, voice trembling. "But we should move in steps. Maybe we can find a bigger place in the neighborhood we already know, so Bella can keep her preschool, and we can keep living as we are while we plan. Is that fair?" Jordan exhaled in relief, a grin lighting his face. "It's more than fair," he said, leaning in to press a soft, grateful kiss to her forehead. Bella giggled, clapping her hands without fully understanding the gravity of the moment. They rose from the bench, the sky streaked with shades of pink and orange. Together, hand in hand, Jordan, Amanda, and Bella, they left the park under the gentle hush of evening. As they walked, Bella swung between them, squealing with delight at each lift of her feet. Amanda glanced at Jordan, her doubts fading into the twilight. The man she once lost had returned, determined to heal old wounds and forge a new path. Their story was still unfolding, but now they were writing it together, each step a testament to forgiveness, resilience, and the love they shared for the little girl skipping by their side. And though the future remained unpredictable, they moved forward with a shared promise. No matter what came next, they would face it, side by side, a family, just as Bella had always dreamed. If you enjoyed this story, don't miss the next one. Just click on the screen